Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 yeah, go, go, go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave. To the system, I don't wanna be a slave. I've been doing shit my way, or the highway. And in the driveway is a nice range. Cause I grind through the climb, I invite pain. You'll never hear me, bitch, nah, I don't complain. Just gotta flip the switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need. Your mind's got the key ingredient, it's belief. They'll deceive with the negativity, but I just slide right by that energy. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. You got a mind, but even that could change. You could flip the gray matter like some batter in your brain. That's why I say, fake it till you make it A. And if you play that game, then you just might make a change. Rearrange all the bad to okay. Take the worst thoughts saying, turn them to a game. Take the best thoughts saying, put them on display. On repeat in your brain till you're feeling no more pain. Never slow yourself down, you can do some more. Push past all the pain and you'll find a door. Open it up and finally explore everything that you thought you could never do before. And even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.
Amber, you weren't here last time, okay? There is a very good reason I am not talking to Sakura. I'm snuffing my nose at her. Just saying, she deserves it. She knows what she did. Last song before we get started. Yes, you were ostracized. All right, here we go.
I got the cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gon' live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad, I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad, doing no cap. Only God wants you, better go live it up. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Baby, I'm bad,
yeah.
Baby, I'm bad.
I just wanna stay bad, stay mad. Chip on my shoulder cause they treat me like an outcast. I ain't gonna take that, stay back. I'll be swinging hard till the hits come in all caps. I ain't gonna lay back, pray that someone's gonna help me. Ain't nobody like that. I ain't gonna wait, that's all fact. Give me one shot.
It's all in fun, Mike. It's always all in
I'm
fun.
sick of being cautious. I'ma go cause some pain, can't stop this. I'ma steal everybody's lane, call it shoplift. Sick of hearing everyone complain when they thoughtless. Taste the pain, it's like candy canes. It makes me go change into a better frame, into a better name. Society's insane, we all live for fame, yeah. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gon' live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad, I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad, do it no cap. Only God wants you, better go live it up. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Baby, I'm bad, baby, I'm bad. I got the cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gon' live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad, I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad, do it no cap. Only God wants you, better go live it up. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Baby, I'm bad, baby, I'm bad. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gon' live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad, I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad, do it no cap. Only God stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gon' live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad, I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad, do it no cap. Only got one, so you better go live it up. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Baby, I'm bad, baby, I'm bad. I got the cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gon' live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad, I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad, do it no cap. Only got one, so you better go live it up. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Baby, I'm bad, baby, I'm bad. I got the cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gon' live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad, I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad, do it no cap. Only got one, so you better go live it up. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Baby, I'm bad, baby, I'm bad.
What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? Y'all doing good? Are we doing good? Okay, I'm gonna let y'all know now. I have not watched any of the damn videos we are going. Oh my God, can I spell today? That would be amazing. I have not watched any of the videos we are watching today. So, I have heard good things and I have heard bad things about this swoop video. Which, listen, all right. First of all, we need to understand something. You can really like a creator and not agree with them all the time. I'm sure people who watch me like some of the things I say and then disagree with me on some of the things I say. And that's absolutely fine. How many times do I preach that, you know, if we all agreed on everything all the time, how boring would this world be? You know what I mean? So, not agreeing with Swoop on I don't know what, because from what people are telling me, I've heard everything of Xylie, you're not going to like the whole video, to, oh God, wait a minute. Wait a minute. What no one is talking about, the downfall. Okay, hold on. Is it this one? Or I thought that was a... Okay, hold on. We might not be doing Radiant Brit tonight. For some reason, I thought Swoop had a video that was shorter than the 2-hour one. Hold on. Wait a minute. No, it's going to be the 2-hour one. I didn't realize 2 hours. Okay, so it looks like we're just going to be doing Swoop today. We'll save Radiant Brit for another day. So let me go and edit that out. All right, hold on. Let me edit this. No Radiant Brit, people. We're not doing Radiant Brit today. That will be for another day. Amber Chick's like, hallelujah, because I was not trying to watch Radiant Brit. Okay, so let me change it. We're just going to be doing Swoop. I didn't realize it was a 2-hour video. For some reason, I thought it was on her second channel. And it was a shorter video, but apparently not. So we're just going to be watching the 2-hour video. I'd much rather watch Swoop anyway, so. And we'll do Radiant Brit for another time. We'll just have a Radiant Brit extravaganza. How does that sound? Oh wait, what did yes, okay, to be fair, it doesn't take much to make Amber's ass itch. I mean, can we be honest for a second? Alright, I've dealt with Amber Chick. Amber Chick has been with me longer than I've been monetized. Swear to God. Amber Chick has been with me longer than I've been monetized. She started out with me. I think you were with me when I went over, when I first started with, what's his name? I forgot his name. BX Beast Boy. Yeah, so Amber's been with me for a while. She really has. And it don't take much for Amber. I don't care what she's saying in chat. It don't take her long at all. Oh, I did find out some. Oh, wait. I want to show y'all this. Oh my God. Hold on. I want to show y'all this, and this has nothing to do with Gypsy Rose, but I was passed on this information.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Matt.
And I want to show y'all what I was shown today. Okay. Real quick, I want to show y'all this. Okay, so remember Savannah Marie, right? Made that horrible video with that girl named Henna. You know, about the guy from Scammer Payback and all that stuff. Which, yes, by the way, I do know about the Twitter post. If anybody's saying something to me, yes, I do know about the Twitter post. I'm just not going to say anything about that Twitter post. All right, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut on that one. I said what I said. All right, so Savannah Marie came out with another video called How Matt Rife Became the Enemy of His Fan Base. Okay, whatever. I don't care. Amber Chicks, been a member for 30 months. It's been a hot minute. Middle finger times 30. I'm too lazy for counting today. It's okay, as long as I get a middle finger from you, Amber. So I want to show y'all something. Okay? Here, hold on, display capture. I want to show y'all something. Look who's the research helpers. That's Henna. Look at that. Look at that. No, I didn't say she got scammed by Henna, but she helped Henna helped Savannah with research. So she went from supposedly being harassed in a way that is too early within the video to talk about right now by one employer, and then she went to another employer to get them exposed? Question mark? That's weird. That's suspicious. From one of the greatest poets of our time right now. That's weird. That's suspicious. Just saying. I was pointed this out yesterday. Today. Somebody DM'd me and told me about that. And I was like, oh, well, that's something, huh? Well now. Alright, so let's get started on this video. It is called The Inside the Twisted New World of Gypsy Rose Blanchard, What No One is Talking About, Space Downfall. Again, I have not watched this video, so I don't know what Swoop says in it. And honestly, I've gotten so much different feedback. I'm going to be honest. Swoop can completely disagree with me. I will say my complaints about it if I disagree with her on something. But I will say this, because of Swoop's work in the background, because of Swoop's work that I've covered before and how I have respect for her in that regard, yeah, she will get treated differently than I would Radiant Brit. Because to me, Swoop has more integrity and more respectability about her. You know what I mean? So, because I saw what Marlican said. Marlican says, I might be making cinnamon rolls from scratch while watching the stream, so pray for me, y'all. Well, oh, God, so, can I have one? I'm diabetic. I'm not supposed to have them, but can I have one, please, Marlicans? Please. So, just to let y'all know, I am biased when it comes to Swoop. All right, I'm going to flat out tell y'all I'm biased because her work in the past has been beautiful. But if I disagree with her, I'm going to say I disagree with her, but I may not go as hard on her as I would normally, like a Radiant Brit type or somebody who's just completely talking out of their ass. Okay? So I'm just letting y'all know now. So I don't want to hear, why isn't Xylie going as hard on Swoop as she would, like, Radiant Brit or somebody else? It's because I already have established respect for Swoop. And I also understand we live in a world we're all not going to agree. Okay? So, just to let y'all know. Do we understand that? One in the chat if you understand what I'm talking about. Alright, good. Good. Okay. Because I'll let you know if I have a bias. I have no problems telling that. Yeah, where Xylie gets biased when you need her. True! Alright, so I have this at 1.5 because this is a 2-hour-long video. But, yeah, let's watch it. Let's do it.
Angels among us, sing down to us from somewhere up above. They come to you and me in our darkest hour.
Gypsy Rose Blanchard made worldwide headlines when she was convicted.
Sorry, I'd like to get her minute.
2 people charged her daughter Gypsy and her boyfriend Nicholas Godejohn.
Gypsy manipulated Nick, a low-functioning person.
It was an angel and a devil.
Gypsy Rose Blanchard was released from a Missouri prison early this morning.
I'm doing great. It feels really, really nice to be out in the free world.
Who got you with it?
Mine.
Who initially brought it? Your mother.
Did Gypsy know?
Honestly, she asked me to.
I did. I talked him into it.
I just couldn't see her. I couldn't see her suffer anymore. People call her the master manipulator. It wasn't that. It was the other way around in that relationship with her ex. It was the other way around. She was manipulated.
That's why he's in trouble to begin with.
Okay, I will say this. I'm going to be very honest. Now, granted, he's her husband. All right? But when it comes to that, I don't think he needs to talk. That's something for her to talk about and her to talk about alone. I don't think he has any say-so whatsoever because he didn't know her then. So, great, Moody. Just put it wherever it needs to go. Okay.
Because he's the one that did it, not me. She taught me how to be a good liar. A very good liar without any conscience.
Picture this. It's June 2015 in Springfield, Missouri. The warm evening air settles heavily over the neighborhood along Volunteer Way. You're standing on the lawn outside of your neighbor's small, pale pink home waiting, hoping that this is all just some kind of joke after seeing some disturbing posts on their Facebook page. More and more neighbors start to gather outside the house, murmuring to each other that they have called the police for a wellness check, but there's no help in sight and the air is growing thicker with worry. Who made these Facebook posts? Why isn't anyone answering the door? You try ringing the doorbell over and over, and the dim lights in the house just stare back at you.
Janelle, just to let you know, the act was not put together very well. That show, The Act, had a lot of things wrong with it. They got a lot of the story wrong. Not like too much. Well, they got a lot of the story wrong. Let's just put it that way.
As if they were mocking you. Someone must be home, you think to yourself, as you look over at your neighbor's car parked neatly in its usual spot in the driveway. Eventually, the sheriff's department arrives and a collective sigh of relief is heard as you say to yourself, finally, we'll find out what's going on. Your heart is pounding in your chest and you feel your stomach drop as you hear someone say, but her daughter is sick and needs a wheelchair. What if she's on the ground and can't get up? Another neighbor decides to climb through the window as an officer agreeingly looks the other way, and as the man makes his way through the house, you can hear him shouting names over and over until the sound of your pounding heartbeat starts to drown his calls out. Now he quickly makes his way back outside the front door and says, it doesn't look like anyone's home. home. The house is quiet, but all of her wheelchairs are still in the living room. You exhale deeply, not realizing that you had been holding your breath the whole time, and your hope begins to rise. Maybe this was just a joke after all. But as the hours creep into the night and emergency vehicles and police cars are piling up outside, you can't shake the terrible feeling. And as the yellow crime scene tape is slowly wrapped around that tiny pale pink house, you know that something sinister has taken place.
I see a stretcher come out of the house, and there's a sheet over a body, and I just start sobbing. That was Dee Dee.
It was only a matter of time before the rest of the world knew the tragedy that occurred in that house on Volunteer Way. Dee Dee Blanchard, the once believed magnificent mom, the saintly woman who spent 19 years caring for her severely ill daughter, was found lying face down, her life cut short. And it
y'all know my feelings about that. I don't have to go into about how I feel about the number.
wasn't until police found Gypsy Rose with her boyfriend able to walk without a wheelchair that once quiet, quaint little neighborhood was about to be at the center of every news show around the world. And after 10 years, it was about to get even more twisted than anyone ever thought possible.
Breaking news this morning, 48-year-old Dee Dee Blanchard is found dead inside her home. Her 19-year-old daughter Gypsy is still considered missing.
And this is...
Okay, so again, I have not watched this video. All right, I need to let y'all... I have not seen this video. So... what she says in here, I do not know.
This is what we know. This might be one of the most complex stories I have ever covered here. The name Gypsy Rose Blanchard is a household name where, in the minds of some, she's purely a survivor, and to others, she's a manipulative liar who did the unthinkable and has now walked away.
That's very true. You have two sides of the fence. I'm going to be honest. I think more people... Okay, take away internet people. I think people in the real world look at Gypsy Rose like down the middle. They look at her like, yeah, she did something bad, but she's also a survivor and she was going to die anyway. I mean, that's exactly how they look at it. I think most people do. I think most people look at it kind of how I look at it. But, and the sad thing is, the longer and longer we go, we have to separate internet people and real life people. We have to separate them, because the online rhetoric versus what real people, you know, the people who actually go outside and touch grass and actually talk to people face to face and not just on a computer, they're two different worlds. They're way two different worlds. You know, way two different worlds. So.
And then there are those of us who think, well, maybe it's not so black and white. Gypsy Rose's name has become synonymous with the term Munchausen syndrome by proxy, which is, in its most basic definition, a psychiatric disorder in which a parent or other caregiver seeks attention from medical professionals by causing or fabricating signs or symptoms of illness in a child. Gypsy Rose was the proxy, or victim in this case, and was subjected to decades of harm at the hands of her own mother, Dee Dee. There's so much renewed interest in Gypsy Rose's life, especially now due to her release from prison and her new ebook and documentary series, but potentially getting lost in the mix of all of Gypsy Rose's newfound stardom is the other complex side of this story, her one-time boyfriend and literal partner in crime, Nick. Conversations around Nicholas Godejohn, a man diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder who also believes to have dissociative identity disorder, has sparked outrage as to how his case was handled, both from sympathizers to detractors. And what about this police supplemental report I never hear discussed, detailing a 15-minute cell phone video Gypsy Rose took of herself and sent to Nick, where she tells him how she is, quote, very good at planning things, how she liked to cause mischief and mayhem, and that if she ever saw a girl who wanted to become Nick's girlfriend, her evil side would unalive them with pleasure, proposing they could do it together. Yeah, we're gonna dive into it all, and also hear from some mental health professionals as well as individuals living with these diagnoses to try to gain insight not only into Gypsy Rose Blanchard, but also into the mind of Nick Godejohn for a fresh perspective. Now, we all probably know that Gypsy Rose was released from prison after serving about 8 years on December 28, 2023. In many ways, this is the first taste of freedom Gypsy Rose has ever experienced in her life, and now, as a free woman living with her new husband, we're learning a whole lot more about her life with her mother and how today she says she doesn't identify as a murderer because she didn't, quote, do the kill.
I don't associate myself as a murderer, because if you think about it, yes, I had a part to play in it. I asked, he's the one that did it. So when they say I'm a murderer, I don't identify as that.
We'll get into that, but...
Well, I'm going to be honest. She's not the one that did it. I think personally, if she did do it, I think she would have had a chance at self-defense. I'm going to be honest. Because the way she lived, and she was forced to live all her life, they were slowly killing her. They were slowly killing her. You know, so.
Again, what about Nick, the man who did do the kill? What about Gypsy Rose's relationship with her new husband? And what about Gypsy Rose's instant celebrity and the public calling her a role?
Yeah, she did. And you know what? And she admitted to that. She told the parole board that she did. She told the parole board, yeah, I did. She told them that, and they still gave her parole. You know? I think she served her time.
Model. We're most definitely going to get into that. But first, oh hi there, hello, hello, hi, it's my face again. If you're seeing me for the first time, my name is Swoop, welcome. I'm a filmmaker and I make documentaries and short films on unsolved cases, true crime, and social media influencers who abuse their power and manipulate audiences because, as I always say, it's not drama, it's dangerous. We also dig deeper into the root psychology and sometimes we take it to petty university because, okay, petty is my coping mechanism and, you know, someone's gotta do it. If you want to join our community, all are welcome, and you can also grab, as always, all of you, and then we will dive right in. I want to talk about something that pisses me off about Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, limit your, like, I'm only ordered, and it is when you do anything, take my devices. So all I do, I'm taking Mean Girls Smart TV, this as digestible as possible for all of you watching while adhering to the platform's policies. And a couple of super quick notes. While in production, I received an email from a longtime viewer who had a request regarding what they refer to as the G slur, and I'll share a bit of that. I'm writing on behalf of myself as a Roma woman and 13 of my Roma peers. Me and my peers are writing.
Oh my God! Get over it! It's her name. I am so tired of hearing this. It is her name. What is she supposed to do? Is she supposed to change her name because you don't like her name? Do you know how many people's last names are slurs? I'm just saying. Do you know how many people's last names are slurs? Are they supposed to change their last name that they were born with, that they were given at birth, because it affects it, like it bothers you? Stop it. Stop it with her first name. I am so sick of this. Stop it. Amber's like, I said the same thing at this point when I watched this video. I am so sick of this. Oh. 621. I'm gonna call you 62, okay? 62. Ever since Gypsy Rose has come out, okay? Before sometime, I want to say maybe around, the first time I started seeing that it was a slur was around 2016, 2017. It might have been earlier. I don't know, but I'm talking about from when I seen it. They started saying Gypsy was a slur. Okay? But this is literally this girl's name. She can't help what name she was given. So, and if you notice, I continue to use the name. I do not care. Now, will I use that word to describe people? No, because it's a slur. I get it. All right, fine. But it's the girl's name. People need to get over it.
To the fact that the word G is a horrific slur for many people, and the current development with Gypsy Rose is already leading to a normalization of using the slur. We're not trying to cancel. We only want people to take the G slur seriously. Now, obviously, Gypsy Rose's name is not a slur. It's her name, but I do hope in stories like this that people don't use it as an excuse to intentionally throw around actual slurs to harm others. Like, I know y'all out there watching that y'all are doing that. Y'all are always incredible. I just wanted to share someone from our community so that we can continue to keep things as
I know, but these people are just, okay. Oh, see, all right. With Swoop's community, I understand Swoop doing this, okay, because of the majority of her audience. I get it. It needs to be done for her. For me, y'all gonna have to get over it. I'm gonna call her Gypsy because that's her name. I'm just gonna flat out tell y'all. I'm gonna use it describing her because that is her name. All right? I'm not going around calling Romani people that. I am just simply saying her name. So get over it. I'm just letting y'all know right now. I'm not as gracious as Swoop. And my audience isn't as gracious as her audience either, so. Yeah, Xylie for using names.
Inclusive as possible. And one more quick thing, there's a lot with this one. I will also be discussing autism spectrum disorder, and I know that there can be some sensitivities with how it is discussed. After consulting with mental health professionals, I wanted to share some guidance given on how to respectfully discuss autistic individuals. The autistic community prefer identity first language, i.e.
Oh. Okay, so everybody who's in the commentary community watching this, you need to watch this part. This part is specifically for you and you ableist mofos. Every single one of y'all. Y'all know who you are. E-Skeletox, I'm clicking off now.
The autistic person is preferable to person with autism. This is because we would say person with cancer, for example, but for most autistic folk, our autism is a core part of our identity. Avoid functioning labels such as high or low functioning. This is rooted in how demanding we are perceived to be.
I'm in the commentary community. 90% of them are. That's all I'm gonna say.
Rather than our actual needs or functioning. And terms like on the spectrum are generally frowned upon by the autistic.
Yes, Smaggles that. You know what? Every time I hear something like this, I think of Smaggle Daggle going up and talking to Mama Max and going, just in case I slip and say the word retard, I just want to let you know I have the pass because I'm autistic. And I was like, oh, my heart melted when he said that because he sounded so sweet. I was like, Smaggle W, aw. When Smaggle did that, my heart melted. I was like, oh my God.
Community and should be avoided. Okay, now that I've hopefully paved that road, let's dive in. Claudine Dee Dee Blanchard was living in Golden Meadows, Louisiana when she had her first child alone. Her new husband, Rod Blanchard, had recently left her on his 18th birthday while she was still pregnant. On July 27th, 1991, Gypsy Rose
Not off to a great start. He left her on his 18th birthday. Yeah, there's a lot to unpack with the mom and dad. Just saying.
Blanchard, a healthy baby girl, was welcomed into the world, but at only 3 months old, Gypsy Rose began displaying signs of sleep apnea, so Dee Dee had her hooked up to monitors and tested. I mean, that would be some scary shit, right? And on top of her sleep apnea, Gypsy Rose also had severe amblyopia, which is the medical term for what many people call a lazy eye, a phrase that I've learned is considered very outdated, that threatened to make both of her eyes go blind over time if she didn't get corrective surgery. Now, this surgery might be where it all started, and what do I mean by it? Well, I'm referring to Dee Dee's suspected mental disorder, Munchausen syndrome by proxy. With all of the attention from friends, family, and doctors regarding Gypsy Rose's medical conditions, Dee Dee was essentially getting fueled by it. She was kind of craving it, kind of getting off by it, along the way, Dee Dee had Gypsy Rose diagnosed with an unspecified chromosomal disorder, epilepsy, muscular dystrophy, leukemia, hearing and vision impairment, and that she was paralyzed, where Dee Dee forced Gypsy Rose to use a wheelchair all the time. Gypsy Rose was about 8 years old when this is happening. And when Dee Dee wanted more control, she had a feeding tube put in because, well, Dee Dee said so, and I guess that was good enough for doctors. I don't get it. Okay. So, you also... It's just amazing to me that they were just like, oop, go ahead, put a feeding tube in her. They couldn't tell that she didn't need it. I don't understand how that... I understand, records got lost because of the flooding and the hurricane and stuff. I get that. But you couldn't tell that she didn't need it? I never understood that part. You couldn't tell she didn't need a feeding tube? What? I don't really get how they fumbled the bag there, but it happens all the time in this story. Now, according to Christy Blanchard, Gypsy Rose's stepmother, when Gypsy Rose was old enough, Dee Dee enrolled her into school, but she only made it a few months before pulling her out. Christy said, quote, Dee Dee had told me that the reason why she had pulled her out was because she was scared they wouldn't give her medication right. So Dee Dee intended to homeschool her daughter. However, according to Gypsy Rose was supposed to teach herself how to read.
What school do you have?
Unfortunately, I was homeschooled, but my education is kind of scattered, so I have the basic of a third grader.
Okay. Do you know how to read and write okay and everything? Okay. Good.
And honestly, y'all, this sounds like coercive control 101, and this is a theme that we're going to see spread throughout this story.
100%. 100%. She hasn't, just like she said in the beginning of her video, Gypsy Rose has not tasted freedom until she got out of prison. She has never known what freedom is until she stepped out of prison.
So real quick, let me give a simple definition of this, because y'all know in a swoop doc, we don't just cover the story, we also talk about some of the warning signs of manipulative or abusive tactics in case any of you watching are in an unhealthy environment to better understand and protect yourself. So coercive control is an act or a pattern of acts of assaults, threats, humiliation, and intimidation, or other abuse that is used to harm, punish, or frighten their victim. This controlling behavior is designed to make a person dependent by isolating them from support, exploiting them, depriving them of independence, and regulating their everyday.
And that's exactly what her mother did. Designed to make a person dependent. That's the biggest word right there. She wanted Gypsy Rose dependent on her. And the sad thing is the mother didn't think about... It's so sick because the mother didn't think about... The mother wasn't going to live forever. Matter of fact, towards the end, the diabetes was getting her real bad because she wasn't even taking care of her own self. So what was Gypsy Rose supposed to do after the mother passed away? She had no education, never worked a job, only been around her mother. What was Gypsy Rose supposed to do after that? And her mother didn't think about that because her mother was selfish. I have no sympathy for the mother either, Amber. I'm going to be honest with you. You know me, Amber. You know me. You know me. I have zero sympathy for what happened to the mother. I have zero sympathy. I'm sorry. When you have a child and you fail to protect that child, and then on top of that, you harm your child, I have zero sympathy what happens to you.
Behavior. So as we move along, I'll pinpoint like different warning signs of coercive control throughout this doc, but let's start with warning sign number 1, isolating you from your support system. A controlling partner will try to cut you off from friends and family or limit contact with them so you don't receive the support that you need. Here are a few ways to do this: suggesting shared phone and social media accounts for convenience, moving you far away from your family so that it's hard to visit them, fabricating lies about you to others, monitoring all your phone calls with your family, and cutting the line off if anyone tries to intervene. Now, I'm pretty sure, like, if you're familiar with this story, Dee Dee just kind of checks off every single one of those boxes, okay? A bitch never met a box she didn't want to check off. Now, how about warning sign number 2, denying your freedom and autonomy? Someone exerting coercive control might try to control your freedom of movement and independence. Some methods include not allowing you to go to work or school, restricting your access to transportation, stalking your every move when you're out, taking your phone, and changing all of your passwords. So by denying Gypsy Rose access to education, access to family, even access to food by putting in a feeding tube, and the ability for Gypsy Rose to speak to doctors, and restricting her ability to even walk and putting her in a wheelchair, Dee Dee was able to create an environment of extreme isolation. It is a tried and true tactic, and if anyone in your life is trying to isolate you from your education or support system, please know that you...
Yeah, Steph says no sympathy for me either. Yeah, I ain't no sympathy. Nope. Nope. Can't make me feel bad about that.
You have options, and there are people and resources ready to help. You can start by going anonymously to thehotline.org to learn.
Snicker, you actually have a really good question. The family knew the mother was off her rocker. Why didn't they intervene? I'm going to be honest with you. I think they were off their rocker too. Because I have a feeling that Dee Dee, the mother of Gypsy Rose, I feel like Dee Dee wasn't exactly treated right in her upbringing either. I'm going to be honest. I think the whole family was messed up. The whole family. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, and she kept moving around too. Very true.
More there and find the help that you need. So with all this going on, Dee Dee's family, the Petrus, found it odd that Gypsy Rose seemed like a normal child when Dee Dee wasn't around. Like one time when they were hosting a birthday party, for example, Gypsy Rose, who was sitting in her wheelchair watching the kids jump on the trampoline, asked if she could join them, and the Petrus told her that she could, and Gypsy Rose began using her legs and jumping around. But once Dee Dee pulled into the driveway, Gypsy Rose kind of locked up and stopped using her legs again.
Everybody, this is Gypsy Rose reporting from Aurora, Missouri. I'm about to dive off our porch into the pile of snow. You ready?
I don't want to point fingers, but this is weird, right? Like it's
yes.
Don't point. Like I don't know. Like maybe somehow it was different in person. I wasn't there. None of us were there to see the family interactions. But when you're told that a kid can't walk, but the kid is jumping on a trampoline when the mom is gone, and then suddenly can't walk the moment the mom shows up, like I'm just kind of like, how did no adult in the room say anything, or did?
That's what I don't understand. Like if you saw snippets of that, how? What? What?
They say anything, but like it's wild to me. Okay. Anyways. So as the story goes, Dee Dee and Gypsy Rose moved in with Claude Petrus and his new wife, Laura. So Claude is Dee Dee's father. Laura is her stepmother, which makes them Gypsy Rose's grandparents. So to cut to it, Gypsy Rose was allegedly inappropriately handled by her grandfather, Claude, while they were living there.
Okay, so we're just going to call you Snack then. Because me saying your name, that's why I was very clear with the S in your name. Very clear. Because people will clip people out of context like crazy. I promise you. Honestly, I think the family saw this shit, figured it was a grift, and decided, well, at least she's not stealing from us. Probably Secura, although I wasn't supposed to read anything you typed today. But yes, probably so. I actually very much agree with you on that.
And when she tried to bring it up to her mother, Gypsy Rose says that Dee Dee began crying while also suggesting that she too had been inappropriately handled, which naturally caused Gypsy Rose to stay quiet out of fear of hurting her mother. Gypsy Rose was around 4 at this time. Now, was this just a manipulative tactic from Dee Dee to garner sympathy from her daughter, or was Dee Dee really harmed by her own father? We'll never know. But to make this even worse, Gypsy Rose's grandfather, Claude, fucking real winner over here, he didn't deny that this ever happened. Oh no! Instead, he blames Gypsy Rose, saying she, a 4-year-old at the time, was the one trying to touch him. Bitch. Listen, I need to simmer down.
That angered me so much when I saw that clip. When he was like, well, as a matter of fact, she was inappropriately touching me. Bro, she was 4. She was 4. What? That's your answer? That's your answer. Are you serious?
But I'm telling you, I don't like jumping to accusations, but if ever there were a shitty way to deny claims that you were doing some nefarious shit and making people not believe you, blaming a whole-grain, gluten-free, tiny child for SUO contact would be a good way to make me not believe you. It's literally impossible for someone that young to even know what the hell that would even mean, let alone going out of their way to do it to an adult. Claude.
Exactly. And that's exactly how I feel about the grandfather. You know what? He's sus as fuck. Just for the simple fact of the answer he gave when he was asked about it. Not a simple, no, I would never do that with my granddaughter. No, oh my God. That, you know what? And even if he would have said, no, I would have never done that to my granddaughter. You know, Dee Dee could have put that in her mind or something because she was always like that. You know what? People would have understood because look how Dee Dee, you know, tricked doctors and tricked, you know, whole ass not Humane Society, a Habitat for Humanity for their house. She tricked everybody. So even that would have been a better answer. But no, this mofo went to, well, she was inappropriately touching me. Bro, what? Bro, what?
Is a whole ass shady McShitbag for that and possibly belongs in jail, allegedly. This is purely speculation, but it wouldn't surprise me if Dee Dee went through the same or similar issues as a child and knew that Claude was capable of doing this to her daughter, but perhaps was in denial or felt that she had nowhere else to go. But realistically, we could be looking at a situation where Dee Dee was also a survivor of CSA, and if so, that would most likely have an impact on Dee Dee's mental and social development.
And you know what? I didn't think that until that grandfather's response. And that grandfather's response put something in perspective for me where I was thinking, you know what? 9 times out of, some people are just born bad eggs, okay? They're born bad, all right? Some people are just born bad. They're born to be bad human beings, all right? 90% of the time, they're created. And it makes me sometimes look back and go, why did Dee Dee turn out the way she did? And I'm going to be very honest with you. I feel like her family had a big part in it. And after hearing the grandfather's response about Gypsy, it pretty much cemented for me. It was definitely her family who turned her into that. You know? I think it was her family that did it to her. I really do. Oh, wait, wrong button. My bad.
People don't always acknowledge in this story. I just want to point that out. Now, just when you thought this backstory couldn't get any worse, never fear, a shitty people doing shitty things syndrome is here. Before Dee Dee had a stepmother, she had a mother named Emma. At some point along the way, Dee Dee became her mother, Emma's caregiver. Yeah, and it has been alleged that Dee Dee, wait for it, starved her own mother to death while she was in her care. What paradoxical universe is this? And if that wasn't enough, well, Dee Dee is also suspected of trying to take the life of her stepmother. Yeah, when Dee Dee and Gypsy Rose moved in with Claude and stepmom Laura suddenly became gravely ill. She literally almost died and spent 9 months in bed from what they think was Dee Dee slowly poisoning her with Roundup weed killer by lacing it into Laura's food, allegedly. This is so darkly disturbing, but if any of this is true, it's both sick and just like sad to me, you know? Like obviously there's zero.
Okay. Put a 1 in the chat if you're surprised that Dee Dee would do that. Put a 2 in the chat if you're not surprised at all. I can tell you now, I'm at a 2 with that one. I'm not surprised if she did that. Look what she did to her own daughter. What is a stepmother? I mean, look what she did to her own kid. You know?
Excuse here for what Dee Dee was doing to Gypsy Rose and what she allegedly did to her mothers. But in the same breath, if Dee Dee was a potential CSA survivor, it's still sad. And there's a pattern here, a cycle. Now, Dee Dee's mother, Emma, passed a year before Claude got married to Laura, and Laura sadly passed in 2018. Many believe from complications from being poisoned, as she was never the same afterwards. And of course, well, we all know how the cycle ended for Dee Dee. Now, right after the revelations about Laura and Emma, many of the Petrus began placing the blame on Dee Dee and also accused her of not taking proper care of Gypsy Rose. Many people in the family noticed that Gypsy Rose didn't need the feeding tube and that she could obviously walk. I mean, seriously, like Dee Dee's sister even reached out to Rod Blanchard to tell him that Gypsy Rose could walk. And still, after all of this and all of the doctors, nothing was done about it. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a million things that Rod could have done differently here, but to be fair, I should point out that Rod is a shipmaster and works on a boat months out of the year and wasn't always around. And based off of the signs of coercive control that I mentioned, we also know that Dee Dee was intentionally isolating Gypsy Rose from her family, was also poisoning Gypsy Rose's perception of her father, to the point when Gypsy Rose was younger, she mentions being quite terrified of him at different points. And Rod blames their constant moving around and Dee Dee's controlling nature for not being able to see Gypsy Rose as much as he wanted to, which, look, do I think he could have done more? Yes. Yes, I do. But Gypsy Rose doesn't blame him, so I'm just gonna leave that there.
Yeah, that's up to her whether she wants to blame him or not. I don't know. I think his situation is different from Kevin Franke. I think Kevin Franke, especially since Kevin Franke didn't have jobs where he was out months at a time, and he literally lived close to his own children and didn't see them for over a year, I would say he abandoned his kids. Whereas the father with Gypsy Rose, he could have done more, but at the same time, I think he was also getting bullshitted a lot through Dee Dee. You know? Yes, Private, I saw it.
So, Dee Dee and Gypsy Rose are living in Slidell, Louisiana. Dee Dee is telling people Gypsy Rose has leukemia, and doctors, for reasons I can't find, had Gypsy Rose undergo rounds of chemo and surgeries, helping Dee Dee keep her daughter as sick.
How? Wouldn't they know if she had leukemia before giving her chemotherapy? How? I do not understand how. Did they not run tests on her? What? We're just gonna just give out chemotherapy like candy? Like how? How did that happen? How? Like what? How did she go through chemotherapy and they didn't, like, bro, what? I don't get it.
As possible.
I was taking medication that she said was cancer medicine. She would shave my head and say, well, it's going to fall out anyway, so let's just keep it nice and neat.
Now, at this time in 2005, Hurricane Katrina hit, destroying their apartment, including all of Gypsy Rose's medical records and her birth certificate. So weather devastation created another devastation that Dee Dee could now weaponize to isolate Gypsy Rose. And by September of 2005, she and Gypsy Rose were airlifted to Aurora, Missouri, where they rented an apartment for a few years.
It's Mayberry. We're moving to Mayberry.
It didn't take a lot to convince Dee Dee and her daughter Gypsy Rose to make a new home in Aurora. They already knew it was meant to be.
It is the perfect town. The perfect place.
While there, the locals quickly learned of Dee Dee and Gypsy Rose through their harrowing story of survival, and of course, many of them celebrated Dee Dee's perseverance and how Dee Dee would do anything for her daughter. Also anything to her daughter. And Dee Dee played that shit all the way up with press interviews, community outreach, just all of it.
Absolutely. She was such a piece of shit. I swear. Again, I am not upset about what happened to her.
Took something like a hurricane to make us have a happy ending.
Dee Dee was happy enough just having medical care for Gypsy. She says she never expected this.
It's amazing. It's amazing, the outpouring of love and support. And it's happy and it's full of love.
Man, this is just so crappy. Dee Dee knew how to flex for clout. Okay, before the Logan Paul, she'd be out there flexing for all this. She was a master manipulator at this point. So they were given medical trips to Mercy Children's Hospital. They got to go to Disney. I mean, they were even gifted the chance to see Miranda Lambert perform, who actually donated another $6,000 to help with Gypsy Rose's medical expenses. Like, the fucking audacity of Dee Dee. Like, I look at this and I'm like, this just takes serious brass balls to work your kid into a grift like this. And all it cost Gypsy Rose was her freedom, her autonomy, her salivary glands, and even her teeth. But in spite of everything that was going on in that house, there was one thing, one singular thing that Dee Dee Blanchard could never control. And that was young, curious hormones and the need for independence, no matter the cost.
Okay, so far, I'm not mad at Swoop for what she's saying. We're like a fifth of the way in.
In 2011, while attending a sci-fi convention, Gypsy Rose was minding her cute little business while an older man ran into her wheelchair. He apologized for the accident and she thought nothing of it. That is until a few days later. So prior to this, Gypsy Rose had received a laptop, and when her mom was asleep, she had created a private Facebook account behind her mother's back where she...
Okay, but here's my thing. Here's my thing. I can understand them not having the medical records. Okay, I get that. I 100% get that. But before you start somebody on chemotherapy, don't you want to double check that they have fucking leukemia? I mean, I understand there's not a central database, but before you start rounds of leukemia, I mean, don't you even want to, like, have tests to see what stage they're at in leukemia? I would think so. And if she didn't have leukemia, it would come out on the test that she didn't have leukemia, so then why would we give her chemotherapy for leukemia? You know, and I get the medical records were lost. I get it. So you know what that means? Because the medical records being lost, everything needs to be retested. Everything needs to be retested. We need to retest everything on her. You know?
She could connect with friends and meet boys because, you know, Dee Dee didn't allow Gypsy Rose to have her own social media, that coercive control, right? In fact, Dee Dee created a shared Facebook profile with Dee Dee and Gypsy Rose, which Dee Dee controlled.
I don't have a computer, no.
Did you ever have a cell phone? Did you play around on or anything like that? No? Okay. No laptop or...
No.
So again, like, remember coercive control warning sign number 1, suggesting shared phone and social media accounts for convenience? Well, let's expand on that a bit with another warning sign, activity monitoring. When someone is monitoring what you do throughout the day, it's a way for them to subtly remind you that they're always around, judging your behaviors. Activity monitoring can include whole home surveillance technology, including private areas like the bathroom, checking your internet usage and browser history, and using tracking technology on your phone or car. So a few days after the accidental encounter with the man at the convention, Gypsy Rose received a friend request on her
JFA, they ain't got nothing to do with what I'm talking about right here.
her secret Facebook page from a man named Dan. She recognized him immediately and they began messaging back and forth. Now, Dan was 36. Yeah. 36 years old. Way to go, Danny boy. I'm a fan already. So Dan was messaging a girl who he believed to be 15 with the mental disability. Winner, winner, f dinner, Dan. I honestly wish that people would stop protecting his identity. But anyways, it didn't take long for a friendship to blossom, or as I like to put it, manipulate a young impressionable girl he believed was less than half his age. But Gypsy Rose began confiding in him, saying that she was desperate to get out of her situation, and it didn't take very long before Danny Dearest knew the biggest secret of all, that Gypsy Rose could actually walk. I mean, she literally did it in front of him. Now, around this time, Gypsy Rose found her Medicaid card that her mom had been hiding that said that she was born in 1991, not 1995 like she was told. This was a huge moment of realization for her. This meant that her mom was lying to her about her age, that she was actually 19 years old, not 15, which must have been just mind-blowingly shocking as hell.
Could you imagine thinking you were 15 years old and come to find out you're actually 19? Can you imagine? Hold on a second. My cat wants in. Hold on. Oh. Well, stop trying to go in the garage. You won't have that problem now, would you? Good gracious. Sorry about that. Edna was yelling at the door that the garage was too cold for her. My bad. That was Edna being a pain in the butt, as normal.
I don't even know how you would process that. And this was the way out that Gypsy Rose had been looking for. Newly discovered 19-year-old Gypsy Rose and this 36-year-old grown-ass man came up with a plan of escape. Gypsy Rose was going to leave her home, and Danny Doodoo was going to take her to his farm in Arkansas. Sounds romantic, right, Dan? So one night, Gypsy Rose managed to steal Dee Dee's phone, and she began messaging Dan. He texted her and asked, "Can tonight be the night that we run away together?" I want to scrub my tongue after even saying that. I'm sorry, this guy's a creep. Allegedly. It's disgusting. Okay, rant over. So Gypsy Rose essentially runs away from one monster to another. Allegedly. And before leaving the house, literally on her own 2 feet, Gypsy Rose left her mom a note. And at 2 a.m., Gypsy Rose hitchhiked to disgusting Dan's friend's house where he was staying. And of course, wouldn't you know, when Gypsy Rose finally gets there, diabolical Dan tells her that guess what? He's on parole! Fiddly-dee! And also, guess what? His parole says that he can't leave the state of Missouri. I am livid! Why is this man not in custody?
Yeah, I don't get that either. But you know why he's probably not in custody? Because she was technically 19 years old. Because she was technically 19-year-old.
Sorry. Needless to say, this didn't end well, and Dee Dee tracked her down, snatched her up, and then managed to procure documents saying that Gypsy Rose was born in 1995 because grifters gonna grift. And so when the 2 gals reached the house, a massive storm ensued, where Dee Dee threatened to smash her computer, do the same to her hands, and allegedly chained her to a bed for 2 weeks.
Secura, just ignore JFA. That's what I do. Just ignore him. That's what I do.
Gypsy Rose said, quote, "My mother never laid a hand on me until my attempt to run away." Right back to another coercive control warning sign. Physical B is one of the most extreme versions of coercive control. It uses physical pain to control your behavior and instill obedience. After 2 weeks of allegedly being chained, Gypsy Rose was released, and Dee Dee kept a knife on her bedside table as a means to threaten Gypsy Rose into submission, bringing us to another warning sign. Threats. Threats are declarations of impending consequences intending to create fear. Threats may involve harming things you care about. Examples of threats can include, "That better not stay that way or you'll regret it. Next time you do that, the dog is going to the shelter. You're going to be very sorry you did that." And I would argue keeping a knife by your bedside probably qualifies. After Gypsy Rose tried running away, Dee Dee cracked down on her security, and she had papers drawn up by an attorney claiming that Gypsy Rose was mentally incompetent. Someone find that attorney! She also brought a gun as a means to scare Gypsy Rose, which would obviously be terrifying. But one day, when things escalated and Gypsy Rose again planned to run away, she got caught. And in an argument...
And people wonder why Gypsy Rose felt like... Oh my God. Oh my God. And people wonder why Gypsy Rose felt like the only way out of it was her mother to be gone forever. All that, and people wonder why Gypsy Rose took the route that she took. Are you kidding me? I really don't understand how people cannot... I don't get it. I absolutely don't get how people don't understand that. QTV for 10. Have a degree as a MLS. I don't know what an MLS is. All the doctors need to do was CBC and a BMP test. Don't know what any of that is. These are basic tests. The fact that the doctors didn't even do a test to verify her white cell load is staggering to me. That I understand. Thank you for the 10. 1,000%. I agree. I agree. I don't get it. I don't get... Listen, I understand the medical records being lost because of the hurricane. Get it. Understand it. Boom. No problem. Then that means every single thing that is supposedly wrong with her needs to be retested.
Gypsy Rose found Dee Dee's bang bang lying on the table, grabbed it, and pulled the trigger 10 times at her mother. And her mother was hit. But the thing Gypsy Rose did not know is that weapon wasn't real. It was actually just a BB gun, meaning, and I can't stress this enough, Gypsy Rose, before Nick Godejohn entered the picture in person, Gypsy Rose had attempted, and some could say kind of virtually, took her mother's life by her own hand.
And I still wouldn't, and you know what? And if it would have happened and that was a real gun, I would still be celebrating her getting out of prison. I'm going to tell you now. If she would have went through with it with that gun, I would have celebrated her getting out of prison even the same. Because to me, it's self-defense. Look at what her mother was doing to her. Her mother was literally killing her slowly. I wouldn't have felt bad.
in that moment, just with a toy that she thought was real. So let that sink in.
She basically wanted me out of the house before then because we kept on having arguments, but I'm not a violent person. I would never ever hurt her.
Let's keep it 100, though. There's people out there that's gone through worse with their parents, yet they still didn't take their parents out, but everyone's different. Yeah, okay, so different people have different situations, and when I talk about this, I'm talking about in Gypsy Rose's situation. A lot of people aren't in Gypsy Rose's situation, and for anybody to sit there and go, well, I've had it worse, or my parents were abusive and I didn't take my parents out, otherwise, and putting up their glasses up their nose, they can kick rocks, because you can't tell people how they deal with trauma. Everybody deals with their trauma differently. Just because you or they didn't do it, it doesn't mean Gypsy Rose didn't feel like that was her only way out. Just saying. Just throwing it out there. Because I've seen so many videos of people going, well, my parents were abusive to me and I never even thought about that. Well, good. That's you. Okay? Just because you didn't think about it doesn't mean countless other people do think about it. Like what?
Was it a heat of passion, desperation, escape? I mean, none of us were there, so we could just speculate on those reasons, but this is the thing that did happen. Now, Gypsy Rose claims that her initial emotion upon realizing it was a BB was relief, because she says that she didn't intend to end her mother, which in all fairness, I have to look at it for what it is. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, because she picked up what she thought was a real...
No, she absolutely intended on ending her mother right there. She absolutely did. I don't think she didn't think about it. No, there was a reason why she pointed what she thought was a real gun towards her mother, and she attempted to end it. Absolutely. Again, I wouldn't have blamed her. I'm going to be honest with you. I wouldn't have blamed her.
Weapon and emptied it at her mother. And I think it's important to remember that two things can be true. Gypsy Rose she is a survivor of trauma and also capable of attempting to take a life on her own without Nick.
But he's the one that did the actual kill, not me. I can't kill anyone. That's why he's in trouble to begin with, because he's the one that did it.
Now, Dee Dee didn't tell people what really happened with the BB. She made up a story about being mugged, but ironically, if you kind of think about it, if Dee Dee had been honest with police about why her daughter popped her 10 times, like, yeah, Dee Dee, would probably get exposed for the grift and go to prison where she belonged, but Dee Dee might also still be alive today. Literally, Gypsy Rose popping Dee Dee with the baby could have saved Dee Dee's life. Wild.
Yeah, it could have saved Dee Dee's life, and it could have saved Gypsy, actually. Honestly, it could have saved Gypsy. But Dee Dee wouldn't tell the truth about that. You know why Dee Dee wouldn't tell the truth about that? Because her grift would have been over, and more than likely her ass would have went to prison. Because it would have all started coming out on what she did to her child. So yeah, it would have saved her life. But she would have got in trouble. She would have got a lot of trouble. That's why she didn't tell the truth about it.
In 2012, Gypsy Rose was eventually able to sneak back onto social media and found herself on a Christian dating website. Remember what I said about hormones raging? Ain't no fortress in the world that can stop that hormonal wrecking ball. It was here that Gypsy Rose met Nick Godejohn, and within 2 weeks, they became Facebook official. Cute, right? But shortly after becoming official, one of Nick's ex-girlfriends actually messaged Gypsy Rose warning her that Nick was a bad guy, but Gypsy Rose ignored the message as she had fallen in love. She just thought this was a jealous ex. So one day, Gypsy Rose stole cash from Dee Dee's wallet and waited until they went to Walmart, where she bought a secret phone, and from then on, Gypsy Rose was able to communicate with Nick via Yahoo Messenger. And let me tell you, those text messages, honey, okay. I read through literally all of them because yes, I am a thorough bitch, and wow, those messages span the globe from simple to explicit to loving to Gypsy Rose telling Nick, F you, to multiple times apologizing to him for how often she blows up in anger, to, plotting the end of her mother together. It's a lot. It's a lot to take in. I highly suggest if you want to really have good perspective on all of this, take a look at those. But Gypsy Rose really leaned on Nick through this time as a means of escaping Dee Dee. They kind of created this fantasy.
No, I'm not going to go over them. I don't need to go over them. I mean, I bet you they are good, but I don't need to go over them. She was a hormonal locked up kid. So I can imagine the emotions that were in there. I can imagine her saying anything she can get to have some kind of loving attention. I mean, think about it. She's literally getting attention from someone other than her mother. It's very sad. And you say whatever you can say to get that attention. I mean, I was super crazy with my first boyfriend when I'm super crazy now. Yeah, I'm telling y'all, we should make up an award for Mr. Xylie. He fucking deserves it being with me. It's horrible.
Life, right? She began confiding in him about her real age, how her mother was harming her, and the fact that she could walk, and Nick became very emotionally attached, taking on the role of wanting to protect Gypsy Rose through any means necessary.
He said that it's us against the world, and that he's gonna protect me no matter what.
In 2015, after they had been dating online for about 3 years, Gypsy Rose finally arranged and paid for Nick to come to Springfield, Missouri from his hometown in Big Bend, Wisconsin. Now, the plan was for Nick to accidentally meet her mother, and maybe, if Dee Dee liked him enough, she would let Gypsy Rose continue to date him. So Gypsy Rose made plans for Dee Dee to take her to see the live-action Cinderella movie, where Nick would bump into them and introduce himself, and they would invite him to sit with them in the theater. Gypsy Rose dressed up as Cinderella, and Nick was to be her Prince Charming for the evening, and initially, everything went according to plan. At some point during the movie, Gypsy Rose excused herself to go to the bathroom, still in her wheelchair, and Nick made his way there as well, and they met in a bathroom stall where they proceeded to consummate their relationship, which is, it's charming and it's sad and just, it's so many things.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
As you may have guessed, the movie theater plan went to shit rather quickly. By the end of the movie, Dee Dee had basically stormed out of the auditorium, making it clear that she didn't like Nick and told her daughter to stay away from him. But as we all know, when a parent tells you not to talk to a boy, you're gonna talk to that boy. You're gonna...
I feel like so many people don't take into account the way people have turned on her is just staggering. No one seems to take what into account? Moody, I don't know. I don't understand what you're saying. I feel like so many people don't take into account the way people have turned on her is just staggering. I'm going to tell you now, most of the people that have turned on Gypsy, they're jealous of the clout that she's gotten. They're jealous. A lot of it's jealousy. A lot of it is jealousy and virtue signaling. And they don't understand nuance, and they don't understand that not everything in life is black and white. And they also don't understand that, you know what, sometimes, just sometimes, people don't want their tax dollars keeping somebody alive like that. You know?
I talked to that boy so hard. After the movie theater encounter, Gypsy Rose and Nick continued to profess their love for each other, deciding that they must be together, and devised, there's kind of 3 options for a plan. Plan A was to get Dee Dee to like Nick. No dice. Plan B, ironically, was to get pregnant. And Plan C, well, Plan C was murder. To end the life of the one person standing in their way and to set Gypsy Rose free from her mother's control. So went from Cinderella to Cruella in like 3.5 seconds over here, and, with lots of reasons why.
I asked Nick for help. And how that conversation started was, he was saying that he would protect me from anyone. I said anyone. He said yes. I said even my mother. He said yes. And then the plan kind of formed from there.
Now, I want to note that during the course of their conversations, Nick confided in Gypsy Rose that he had a dark side. According to him, it was an alternate personality named Victor, who was supposedly a 500-year-old vampire who had fantasies of SA and R-wording some.
Okay, can we get away from the vampires? I've had enough of vampires. I am so sick of hearing about vampires. I would love to get away from a story. I don't want to talk about vampires or horses for at least a good couple of months, okay? I don't want to talk about vampires, horses, or Lolly for a good 3 months. But I know that's not going to happen. But still, okay? I am so over those 3 things. Good God, I can't even get back into Gypsy Rose without a damn vampire. Good gracious.
And taking life, and was willing to take Dee Dee's life. And after some more discussion and plans, including Gypsy Rose filming a video inside her home, instructing Nick on the pathway that he should take to get to Dee Dee's bedroom, complete with Gypsy Rose making knife motions over Dee Dee's bed, the plan was set and Gypsy Rose was 1,000% committed. And days later, on June 9th, 2015, Nick arrives at their house in the middle of the night.
Hi, honey. I'm doing it. He's eating a brownie.
Okay, and I have to admit this also. Okay, one, I have this at 1.5, so her voice is a lot squeakier. But although I stick up for Gypsy Rose a lot, her voice does get on my nerves. I have to admit that. Her voice gets on my damn nerves. I can't help it. Her voice does get... I understand. Who am I to talk about a voice? People complain about my voice all the time, okay? My God, today on SFTP, I got called a meth head. I don't know why. I've never done it. I don't think I sound like it, but I think that has to do with me sounding country and all. I don't know. But her voice gets on my nerves. It really does. My God.
He will be eating me.
In the days following Nick's arrival to Springfield, Dee Dee and Gypsy Rose Blanchard had not been seen or heard from by their friends and neighbors until on...
Matt Pitt is evil. Matt Pitt is not the nice guy everybody thinks he is. He is an evil person. And I know Marlikin's going to go run and snitch on me, because, that's how Marlikins is. But that's okay. That's okay. Marlikins can go snitch. Because I call him evil every day in his face.
June 14th, when a cryptic message was posted from Dee Dee and Gypsy Rose's shared Facebook account.
Instantly took it as their Facebook account had gotten hacked.
When all calls to Dee Dee and Gypsy Rose went unanswered, several neighbors and friends went to their house to make sure everything was okay. They rang the doorbell and knocked on all the windows, but the house remained silent, even though Dee Dee's car was still sitting in the driveway.
Amber Chick, our father is very mean something. I don't know whose father. Amber Chick, who are you talking about? Our father. Who are you talking about? Who's our father? Girl, you better check yourself before you say something like that again. I'm just saying. Ma'am. No, sir. Not even, no. Matt Pitt is literally like the little brother that I wish mom swallowed. Just saying. That's what Matt Pitt is. He's literally the little brother I wish mom swallowed. Okay? I'll say it here. I do not care.
So they called the police.
We circled the house, knocked on all the doors and windows.
I called the police and let them know that we needed a wellness check done on a disabled mother and daughter.
So this brings us full circle, right, to the way that we started this talk at the very beginning. Remember, with all of you kind of taking on the perspective of one of the concerned neighbors at the house. When the Greene County Sheriff's Department arrived, they had to wait for a search warrant.
No need to clip it. I've said it to him before, 62. I've said it to him before. You think I haven't said that to him? Oh my God. I know it's a Christian Mingle chat. I sin too. Okay, I'm not perfect. I know y'all think I'm perfect, but I'm not.
And in the meantime, a deputy granted a neighbor permission to climb through the unlocked kitchen window to check on everyone. So the neighbor, whose last name is also somehow Blanchard, but they are not related, he only looked around the front of the house and thought that it seemed relatively quiet, though he did notice that Gypsy Rose's wheelchairs were still there. But when the search warrant came through on June 15th, police discovered Dee Dee Blanchard unalived, laying face down on her bed. Now, I won't go into details for obvious reasons, but a knife had been used 17 times, and Gypsy Rose was still nowhere to be found. So
we have breaking news. The body of 48-year-old Claudinia Blanchard has been found.
Gypsy is still missing this morning.
Long story short, I think we all know what followed. At the time of the crime, Gypsy Rose let Nick in, provided him with gloves and the knife she stole and pre-cut duct tape, and went to the bathroom, and at one point was shaving her legs, allegedly, during the act. Gypsy Rose and Nick both said that they had S right after in her bedroom, though Gypsy Rose has also said that he R-worded her, and he says differently. A day after the crime, Gypsy Rose filmed Nick in their hotel room, a clip that has been played millions of times.
Okay, I believe the R-wording only because of how Nick was, and how Nick wanted to do that to the mother's body. But I do believe in his mind, because she said, I want you to R-word me instead of my mother, that he thought that it was not that. So, that's how I think that went down.
Where you hear her giggling with joy and newfound freedom and having, fun in the bedroom.
I'm doing it. He's eating a brownie.
It was also discovered that Gypsy Rose was the one who had posted those awful Facebook messages about her mother after they had fled to Nick's parents' house, and for some reason even mailed the weapon to his parents' house. And soon after, police from the Waukesha County Sheriff's Department raided the Godejohn's home and apprehended Nick and Gypsy Rose, also to the shock of everyone who knew Gypsy Rose, because for the first time as all of this is happening, she's walking. Like, can you imagine the whole time you thought that she couldn't, okay? And there she is using her legs like nothing had ever happened, like nothing was ever wrong. That would just be so wild to discover.
Step out of here, we'll get you some water. Can you use the restroom?
The pair were extradited back to Missouri and held on a $1 million bond.
And I want to start off with saying things are not always as they appear.
I couldn't find a better sentence to sum all of the f***ed up things about this case if I tried. Now, many of us have seen the interrogation footage. Gypsy Rose lies throughout most, if not all, of it, including acting surprised when the detective tells her that her mother's life was ended and also accusing Nick of some heinous things.
Okay, so, to this, because people like to use this against Gypsy. She was raised to lie. Her mother raised her to lie. Her mother raised her to manipulate. So why are people surprised that she lied in the initial talk with the cops? Why are people surprised by that? She was literally raised to do that. I don't understand how people are like, see, she lied to the cops. Okay, and why are you surprised? She's been lying her whole life. Her mother raised her to do that. Her mother lied to everyone about her own daughter, and her own daughter had to lie with her mother. Hello? Why is anybody surprised by this? First of all, one, why is anybody surprised by this? And two, why are y'all using it against her? I'm sorry, I don't use that against her because that's what she was conditioned to do from practically birth. You know? Yeah, that's all she knew. Exactly, Amber Chick. That's all she knew how to do.
Okay.
I'm thankful because I have no idea why I'm here.
Okay.
Nobody will tell me anything.
Yeah, that's fine. That's kind of why we're here to kind of help you out with that. Okay. So how much school do you have?
Unfortunately, I was homeschooled, but my education is kind of scattered, so I have the basic of a third grader.
Okay. Do you know how to read and write okay and everything? Okay, good. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you in court of law.
I don't really have a computer,
Okay.
no.
Did you ever have a cell phone that you played around on or anything like that? No? Okay. No laptop or...
No.
Well, we know that that's not true. She obviously did have access to all of those things, and I'm sure the cops knew that by now, and we're just trying to get a confession at this point.
If you're involved in this, then you need to tell me that now. Okay?
I'm completely 100% honest.
And let me talk for just a second, okay? I'll be honest with you as long as you're honest with me, okay? Your mom's dead, okay? Now, what I want to ask you is... Your mom's passed away, okay? And she's deceased, all right? Now, what I want to ask you, did you have involvement in this? Okay? Just, hang on, listen to me for just a second, okay? I want you to understand something, okay?
What am I doing now?
Okay, just listen to me, okay, sweetheart? You know what happened to your mom, okay? You know exactly, sweetheart, listen to me. Let's not go down that road taking your pencil.
I don't even really know what happened.
Okay.
I came here because my mother kicked me out of my house. She and I were having relationship problems. I guess she wanted me to stay a little girl forever. She didn't really like my boyfriend. And she was like, pretty much, if you want to move to Wisconsin with him, fine, go. So, anyway, I don't exactly know the exact date he came to Springfield, but I know that I gave him the Monday stay.
How is anybody surprised by any of this? And you know what? She wasn't lying with that part, Midna. She wanted me to stay a little girl forever. She literally did want her to stay a little girl forever. The girl was 19 years old and didn't even know she was 19. She thought she was 15. Like, I feel like a lot of people don't understand how deeply trauma can affect someone, especially when they're isolated. Exactly, Star. I agree with you 100%.
Hotel, and anyway, I let him know that.
Hey, hang on a minute, okay? We're going in a totally different direction here, okay?
Why did I come up here? Why did something happen to my mom?
And that's what I'm asking. Why?
She had a lot of medical conditions.
Okay, this is not a medical condition. You know that. It's not a medical condition at all, okay?
And please tell me she did not commit suicide. She had bipolar.
Okay, we're not going to get off on that track. We're not getting off on that track, okay? You know what happened. You do know what happened. You were there, okay?
Wait, no.
Yes, you were. You were there.
I was there.
Okay.
He said that it's us against the world, and that he's gonna protect me no matter what.
Meanwhile, during Nick's interrogation, even given the severity of what he had done, he did, in many people's opinion and mine, come across rather honest.
Okay, I guess she's your girlfriend.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is.
And you love her?
Oh, do I love her?
You love her a lot?
I was bummed my eyes. I wait for this.
Yeah, because in his mind, now let's look at it from his point of view. In his mind, he didn't do anything bad. And he was helping the woman that he was in love with. You also got to understand, this is a severely autistic dude. So yeah, he's going to tell the truth of what he did because in his mind, he didn't do anything wrong. Whereas Gypsy Rose was taught from the day she was born to lie. Because that's all her mother did was lie. And she forced her child to lie. So what do you think? She's automatically going to just, boom, I'm going to start telling the truth now. What? Like what? Nuance, people. You have to put the whole picture together, okay? Sometimes good people can do bad things, and then sometimes bad people can do good things. It is a thing. Not everything is black and white. You have to take a whole picture and look at it. You gotta look at a whole entire picture. Don't just take a snippet.
Moment where I can talk to you.
Okay.
I was so worried about her.
Yeah. I think she loves you too. If you love her, if you love Gypsy, then you're not gonna let Gypsy get in trouble without you being there to help her, okay?
I understand.
Can you tell me this first? Did Gypsy know that you were gonna kill her mother?
Honestly, she asked me to.
Okay. So Gypsy knew you were gonna do it because Gypsy asked you to.
Yes.
Why did she ask you to do that?
Because she felt it was her only way to be with me.
How did Gypsy ask you to do that? Did she ask you to do that in a text message, on a Facebook, or in person, or something different?
Well, it was more than once. I mean, you had Facebook, we would talk about it on there, we would talk about it even on Texas.
Okay.
Because, I mean, the truth is, okay, I'll admit it. I did actually, I will admit it.
I know, okay.
There were several instances during the interrogation where I felt like Nick spoke rather matter-of-factly, to the point where I have almost wondered if he might not even fully have known or understood that he could have tried to lie to make himself like look better the way that Gypsy Rose tried to lie.
The only reason I did it is because I did it for me and her. That's the real reason I did it. I would have never did it if it was not for me and her.
Okay. So you wouldn't have done it if somebody else would have asked?
No.
I don't think he did know to do that. I don't think he has the mental capacity to do that. I really don't. I don't think he had the mental capacity to lie about it and try to make himself look good. I don't think he has that part of himself. I really don't. It's crazy thinking this disabled dude got life because of her. He decided to do it on his own. Okay? He did it. I think he should be in a mental institution. I don't think he should be in prison. But we also have to remember this is the same dude that jerked off in public at a McDonald's for like 9 hours. Like, he has a past. He honestly shouldn't have been in society altogether. In all honesty. He should have been locked up in a mental institution a long time ago. Honestly. He should have been locked up in a mental institution a long time ago. It was literally those two meeting up. Kind of like with the Ruby Frank thing. Where Ruby Frank, to me, she was already abusive towards her children before she met Hildebrandt, right? And then once her and Hildebrandt got together, it became a tornado of, like, evil. That's how I look at the whole Gypsy Rose and Godejohn, all right? With her and Godejohn, separately, they were both fucked up. And when they got together, it just created chaos. Honestly. Because remember, Gypsy already did try to take her mother's life once. If that was a real gun, her mother wouldn't be here. Probably. So, yeah, together they were deadly. Yeah. Marlinkin says, see, this is why I don't like this video, because at this point, she fails to mention how sexually deviant he was, but talks about his autism at length. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Girl, I get you, because I think that is a very important part of his story. That is a very important part of his story. She doesn't go over it? What? No. No, don't tell me that. What? Girl, oh my, oh, Swoop, come on now. That's an important part. No, that's an important part. Because when she was talking about how, when him and Gypsy had sex after he did what he did to the mother, I was wondering because she didn't mention how he asked Gypsy. He told Gypsy before he got there that when I'm done with your mother, I want to R-word her. And Gypsy Rose told him, no, R-word me instead. He wanted to R-word the dead mother. Like that came out of his mouth. He wanted to R-word the dead mother. And she said, no, R-word me instead. And he did. Yeah, there you go, Minna. Yeah, so, I was wondering why she didn't say that part. Oh, Swoop, come on, girl, come on, man. Okay, come on, we got this.
There's no way I would give anyone else.
Okay, so you just
I truly do worship her to the point that nothing I want to do for her.
Okay. Well, I think you proved that, right?
Yes.
I think that you proved that you do what she asked you to do, if that's the case, if she did ask you.
Amber Tig, he obviously had thought about this sort of thing before Gypsy. Is that right? Absolutely not, but it wasn't all her. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, she did ask me.
Okay, and she asked you more than once? Did she ask you why you were here?
She asked me more than once because what happened was, at first she wanted, because the thing was is that she wanted to do it herself, but she was too, what's the word, not cautious, it's, I guess scared is the word, I want to actually do it.
Okay.
Because she couldn't live with herself doing it.
Okay.
And, as for, me, honestly, to this day, I still feel guilty about it.
Okay.
I do.
Like, it almost felt like Nick was just having a casual, no bullshit conversation with someone, though there is definitely something unique about the way in which he speaks and his verbiage and the level of education and intelligence that is presenting through how he is speaking, things that we will get into later.
That was your purpose to come here so that way you could do that for Gypsy?
Yes, because I wanted to be with her and I wanted...
So did Gypsy know you was coming here then to go ahead and kill Dee?
Yes.
Okay. So how did you get the knife? Like, where'd the knife come from? Did you bring it with you from here?
No.
Okay, did you buy it somewhere?
She bought it for me.
Who bought it for you?
Gypsy.
Where'd she buy it from?
Online.
She bought it online?
Oh, wait, no, it was not online. I gotta get that straight. It's not
Yeah, don't lie, because you don't want to get Gypsy in trouble for something because you're gonna lie about it.
I know.
Okay.
She somehow found a way to get one at Walmart. I don't know how she did, but she did.
So when you got...
I think she stole the knife from Walmart. I believe she stole the knife from Walmart.
So you didn't bring a knife from here?
No.
So when you got here, she had a knife?
Yeah.
So did she know you was gonna stab her?
Yes.
Okay.
And it was in this interrogation that the world got a deeper glimpse into the fact that Nick Godejohn had been diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder and believed that he might have what he referred to as multiple personalities. We're definitely going to talk all about that. But ultimately, when Gypsy Rose's trial came around, she pleaded guilty to second-degree M. Now, every state has a different interpretation on what constitutes first and second degree, so just to give a little context on what that means in Missouri, second degree is ending someone with malice of forethought. Malice of forethought means that M was intentional, or the person may have acted recklessly and did not care about others' lives. Second degree is best explained by first talking briefly about first degree. First degree is ending someone with malice of forethought and premeditation. Premeditation means that the perpetrator thought about what they were doing before they did it. It can even be a brief thought. Second degree does not require premeditation. The lack of premeditation or planning is the key factor that makes it different from first degree, which is all incredibly interesting to me, given that what Gypsy Rose did was clearly premeditated. But every state has a different interpretation of first and second degree, so here are the broad strokes of how second degree is defined in the state of Missouri. In order to prove that the defendant committed second degree, the prosecutor must show beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant ended an individual without lawful justification, which is also incredibly interesting to me, knowing that Gypsy Rose will...
Justification is a funny word. That's all I'm gonna say. Justification is a funny word. Snack, it's because YouTube doesn't like certain words. Like, the reason why I'm saying R word right now is because I'm not like how Nick does and do my streams and then edit out words and put it back up on YouTube. I would like to keep this monetized, so I'm using R word. So from what now I'm understanding, he never previously had the fixation or desire to end someone's life prior to Gypsy, yet she has stated that he has, if he wasn't in prison, would eventually do it. I don't know. pretty. I have no idea.
Willingly pleaded guilty to ending her mother, when now she says that she doesn't identify as that.
Like, it's something that I'm gonna have to address because it's always in my comments. Like, why are we glorifying a murderer and this and that and the other? And, you know, I don't want to have to remind people every single time that I'm not the one that committed the act of the kill. He's the one that did it. So when they say I'm a murderer, I don't identify as that.
Now, I believe the prosecution and defense both agreed that given the awful things that Dee was doing to Gypsy Rose for all of her life up to that point, that yes, she planned and executed the plan, but had also suffered. I mean, what she endured is truly heartbreaking. So the attorneys agreed that second degree was appropriate, and she was given the minimum 10 years with the possibility of parole in 8, while also testifying in Nick's trial.
So therefore, she did her time. That's what they gave her. She did her time.
Whose idea was it to mother?
Mine.
Why did you want mother?
Because I wanted to be free of her hold on me.
Did you and Nick ever talk about this?
Yes.
Who initially brought up mother?
I did.
Of course, as we all know, Gypsy Rose was just released on parole after 8 years and is now a free woman. And Nick, well, he's going to spend the rest of his life in prison. No chance of parole, no red carpets, and no relationship with Gypsy Rose.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Nicholas Godejohn, guilty of murder in the first degree.
And this is where things really start to go sideways. There's something interesting to note.
Oh my God, I have a feeling I'm not gonna like this part. I have a feeling I'm not gonna like this part. Oh my God, no. I have a feeling I'm not gonna like this part. That's crazy. I totally understand having to jump through hoops to keep monetization. Oh, yeah, well, that's what happens, Snack. Xylie, I was actually irritated watching it. Oh my God. I'm scared. I'm scared. I need the buddy system. I need a buddy. Oh. I watched this and came out really disliking Gypsy, if I'm being real, but I don't know. Well, I mean, I find it, okay, so up until now, I find it funny that we don't talk about Godejohn's misdeeds and what he was caught for. Risk, I tell you what, I think what would be good for you is Googling the story and Googling him and what his priors were and stuff like that. Honestly, because just knowing those will kind of give you a, like you'll literally read it and go, oh, okay, wait a minute. You know? So. Oh God, Amber. Okay, here we go. We're going to do it anyway. Let's go.
About Gypsy Rose's release from prison on December 28th. The world around her has changed in an almost inconceivable way. Gypsy Rose was sentenced in 2016 and over the course of her time behind bars became a bona fide pop culture icon for better or worse. Only a year after she was sentenced, HBO released a documentary titled Mommy, Dead, and Dearest. That same year, ass Dr. Phil did a feature on Gypsy Rose complete with...
Yeah, we don't stand Dr. Phil in this house. I can't stand that mofo.
An interview, and a scripted show, The Act, dropped in 2019 on Hulu featuring Joey King as Gypsy Rose. Over time, with each and every piece of media released pertaining to the Dee Dee Blanchard case, interest in Gypsy Rose grew into an almost cult-like frenzy, one that Vogue Australia aptly referred to as being like, quote, people anticipating an album launch. Countdowns were started online for Gypsy Rose's release. TikTok stan accounts popped up documenting every update. Not even one day after her release, Gypsy Rose posted a selfie to Instagram captioned, "First selfie of freedom," and obtained over 7 million likes in an account that bafflingly had nearly 9 million followers. I mean, her TikTok is even more eye-popping with like over 10 million followers. But Gypsy Rose Blanchard, whether she likes it or not, has morphed into a bona fide influencer, and according to her IG bio, a Munchausen by proxy advocate, and one who, like many traditional influencers, has products to promote, a book and a Lifetime series by the name of The Prison Confessions of Gypsy Rose Blanchard. For weeks following her release, people online were buying everything that she was selling. For a while, you could go on TikTok and find people breathlessly calling her queen, icon, mother. I mean, you see people give her
Okay, the people calling her queen, icon, and mother, y'all are sick. Y'all need to shut up. Okay? Y'all need to get a life. Literally, y'all need to get a life. Okay? The people who are being overly cruel towards her, y'all equally need to get a life. Okay? Literally. All you terminally online people need to get a fucking life. No, I am not mother, Leah. We are not starting that. Gypsy Rose's dad is out. Wait, he's selling his story too? Oh my God.
Reverence in the way that some others might give to someone like Beyonce or Taylor Swift. I mean, Gypsy Rose Blanchard.
The people who are calling Taylor Swift and Beyonce, look, don't come for me because I know how mean you Bayhive and Swifties and everybody else's stands. Y'all are crazy as hell, but y'all kind of need to get a life too, okay? Like, I understand them being your favorite artist. I get it. You buy everything of theirs. That's fine. Ain't nothing wrong with it, but it ain't the end all be all. I'm just saying, chill out.
Was Gen Z and Gen Alpha's newest girl boss, a woman who pled guilty to second-degree murder. Vogue Australia summarizes it best when they chalk it up to, quote, our collective obsession with the girlhood trend of 2023. Barbie, Coquette, and Girl Dinner were fixtures of the zeitgeist camp femininity was in. 2023 was proclaimed to be the year of the girl. It was the year where gaslight, gatekeep girl boss was turned up a notch when the internet started making up hypothetical excuses for hypothetical girl crimes. This current view of girlhood as a trend through the lens of the internet hinges on the idea that consequences, especially ones under the current corporate capitalist plot of life, are null and void when we plead the blissful ignorance of the childhood experience.
All that shit right there was word salad. That whole entire thing she just read was word salad. I am way too blue collar for this shit.
End quote. So, as Vogue puts it, it's not really so much the idea that people actually believe Gypsy Rose worthy of standing, so much as the very act of femininity being like above criticism in the eyes of very vocal people propping her up. You know what I mean? I mean, it's probably no surprise then that like not even a few weeks after her just like meteoric rise, the public started to turn on her for a number of reasons. First, an appearance on Nick Bial's.
And I called that shit was gonna happen. I knew it. As soon as she got out, like she couldn't even go like shopping without people like right up her ass with their phones, right? And I knew they had her such high on a pedestal as soon as she got out that I knew that half those people were gonna switch up on her. Clout is an amazing thing. Clout does amazing things to people. It is crazy.
The All Files podcast started going viral on TikTok.
I don't associate myself as a murderer because if you think about it, yes, I had a part to play in it. I asked Nick for help. And how that conversation started was, you know, he was saying that he would protect me from anyone. I said anyone. He said yes. I said even my mother. He said yes. And then the plan kind of formed from there. But he's the one that did the actual kill, not me. I can't kill anyone. That's why he's in trouble to begin with, because he's the one that did it. So when they say I'm a murderer, I don't identify as that.
Another moment that stuck out in the public's eye was on the red carpet.
I'm going to be honest with y'all. I don't have a problem with what she said. Now, do I think she could have done it herself? Absolutely. She obviously could have, because she went and pointed that BB gun at her mother, not knowing it was a BB gun, and she shot it off, not knowing it was a BB gun. She absolutely could have done it herself. But I don't have a problem with what she said. I do not have a problem with what she said. I'm sorry, I don't. She had a part in it. She definitely did, but she didn't actually do it. She's not the one who actually did the act. Pun intended.
For A&E. Now, for those of you who don't know, when she was in prison, Gypsy Rose found new love and a husband named Ryan Anderson, a special education teacher from Louisiana, whose relationship with Gypsy Rose was primarily held through letter writing until her release.
We're being intimate for the first time, so the spark is plenty alive. So blowing, so it's all good.
And since Gypsy Rose got out, the two have been inseparable to a possibly TMI degree.
Dude, I'm on a high right now. I'm living my best life, and y'all can't take that from me.
And the D is
fire.
Okay, hold on. We cannot get on her for that. How much shit do we see on the internet? People saying a lot worse than that, or showing a lot worse than that on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Are you kidding me? We can't get on her about that. She can't have fun on the internet. She can't have fun and say cringy shit on the internet. Everybody else does. Everybody else can. The fuck? Come on now. Come on now. We can't. No! Swoop. Come on, baby. Don't do this to me.
Hey. Anyway, this inseparable pair were on the A&E red carpet one day and were speaking when this happened.
I think when people call her the master manipulator, it wasn't that. It was the other way around in that relationship with her ex. It was the other way around.
Okay, I think, we can't call him baby daddy. Hubby needs to shut the hell up because she obviously did manipulate him. I do believe she believe. Now, don't get me wrong. I believe she manipulated Godejohn into doing it. Obviously, for obvious reasons. But again, I'm still not mad at it because of the reasons why she did it. You see what I'm saying? Yes, he can definitely have one L because he shouldn't have said this shit right here. She even said so herself. She's the one that asked him to do it. She's the one that talked him into doing it. Boom. So it's not her fault because she effed up because she was abused by her mom, but she's perfectly fine with walking free amongst society. Which one is it? I'm conflicted. I'm not conflicted at all. She did her time that they gave her. They could have very well given her more time and they didn't. But she did the time they gave her, so yes, she can walk free. Am I saying, listen, by the letter of the, okay, there's two different kind of wrongs we're talking about here, okay? By the letter of the law, was she wrong? Yes. Yes, she was. She was wrong by the letter of the law. Okay? And I get that. I'm not saying that she's not. But I will say, life isn't always black and white. And I'm not sitting here mourning her mother. That's what I'm saying. I'm not conflicted at all. I'm going to be very honest with you. Good night, Lieutenant.
She was manipulated.
So, to be clear, when you collect a bunch of moments like these, people start asking a lot of questions about the level of accountability Gypsy Rose is or is not taking, and I want to consider all perspectives here. It can successfully be argued that she served her time and therefore accountability has already been reached with her. However...
There we go. There's my argument right there. Yeah, he is, Leah. He is. But think about it. Think about it. I want y'all to think about this for a second, though. Do you think Gypsy Rose understands what is weird and what is not weird? Think about how she lived her whole life. Think about her first taste of freedom was in a prison cell. I bet you she was treated better in prison than she was her own mother. So do you honestly think she understands human beings? No, she doesn't. Because I guarantee you if she did, she probably wouldn't be with this husband. And here's the other thing. If he treats her good, I don't care. As long as he treats her good, I do not care. Because you know what? Weird people need love too. And I hate to say it, but Gypsy Rose is weird. And she's probably going to be weird the rest of her life too, because look at her fucking life. She's just now knowing what it's like to be able to do whatever the hell you want to do out of her whole entire life. This is the first time in her life when she stepped, and honestly, actually, no, she's not completely free because she's still on parole. You're still on parole. You are still owned by the state. Until her parole is over, she's not completely free either at that point either. Honestly, she's not even completely free until she's done with parole. Because she can sneeze the wrong way and they throw her ass back in prison. So technically, she's not even free yet until the parole is done. Exactly, Moody. How can she not be with the way she grew up? Exactly. Yeah, she can't even smoke weed. Like what? The girl can't even smoke weed. Until she can smoke weed, she's not free. Okay? That is the balance of whether she's free or not. Until she can go and buy herself a dime bag and roll that shit up and smoke it, she ain't free. And you know what? And if anybody deserves some weed in their life, it's Gypsy Rose. Let's be honest. If anybody deserves to smoke a bowl, it's Gypsy Rose. Just saying. Yeah, pour one out for Gypsy. Absolutely.
Yes, Gypsy Rose is a survivor, and nothing takes away from that. She did not deserve any of what her mother did to her, period. And in the same breath, because two things can be true at the same time, Gypsy Rose pled guilty to ending the life in the second degree, admitted to plotting her mother's demise, obtaining the weapon to do it, created a video detailing to Nick how to do it, again, complete with those, emotions, and physically opened the door and let Nick in to carry out her plan at a time she chose in advance.
Yes, she pled guilty to all of that, and she served the time they gave her. What's the problem? What's the problem? She served the time they gave her. I need some wine too, Leah.
Premeditated and orchestrated by Gypsy Rose, primary, and Nick in there to help. And so for her husband to say that Nick was the master manipulator of all of this kind of confuses me.
I think...
Okay, he was being a dumbass. Okay? He was doing... Okay, I'm not trying to single out the men in the audience, but he was doing what men do with their loved ones. He was trying to mansplain, and he actually needed to shut the hell up, honestly. Because he apparently didn't know what the fuck he was talking about.
Is, people call her the master manipulator. It wasn't that. It was the other way around in that relationship with her ex. It was the other way around. She was manipulated.
And for Gypsy Rose to not correct him, and for her also to say that she doesn't identify as what she factually pled guilty to, confuses me a bit more.
If you think about it, yes, I had a...
You're honing in on it too much. I'm sorry. Girl, how are you going to hone into that and you're not even going to tell about Godejohn jerking himself off at the McDonald's? What, how are you going to hone in on that, but you can't even hone in on the fact how Godejohn was before he even met Gypsy? How are you going to do that? Come on, girl.
Part to play in it. I asked Nick for help. And then the plan kind of formed from there. When they say I'm a murderer, I don't identify as that.
Again, to clarify, in terms of what's factually correct in the eyes of the law, since for whatever reason Gypsy Rose or her PR team have pulled away from that, putting aside for a moment what happened to her growing up, it is valid, it will always be valid. In regards to the crime, Gypsy Rose was not simply an accessory in the way that I think she's trying to interpret and now frame it. I mean, in a lot of people's minds, the premeditation would say that it is first degree. And something else that gave me pause was when she emphatically said that she could never take someone's life. I mean, remember earlier how it came out that Gypsy Rose literally, popped her mom 10 times with a BB gun during an argument?
Apparently she was lying. What? Okay. Oh God, I don't... Bro. Oh, Swoop. I love your videos so much, and this is just, oh my God. Do y'all actually think, okay, so she learned how to lie and manipulate through her mother, right? Living with her mother. Do you not also think that she probably had to do that in prison also? How do you survive prison? You don't survive it just being straight up. Yeah, and you know what? It's a matter, what this is right here with me and Swoop right now is a matter of opinion, all right? I'm having a difficult time because of a matter of opinion between me and Swoop, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I still love her videos, and I still think she does a banger job, and she did an amazing job with the Colleen Ballinger videos, and every other video that I have watched by her has been amazing. Okay, so don't get me wrong on that. It's just, I think this all boils down to is a matter of opinion. And my opinion just differs from her.
And not realizing that it was just a BB. Well, here's what Gypsy Rose said in an interview.
He's the one that did the actual kill, not me. I can't kill anyone. That's why he's in trouble to begin with, because he's the one that did it.
You do what she asked you to do, if that's the case, if she did ask you. Yeah, she did ask me.
Okay, and she asked you more than once?
Did she ask you why you were here? She asked me more than once, because what happened was, at first she wanted, because the thing was is that she wanted to do it herself, but she was too, what's the word, I guess.
Yeah, exactly, Henrietta. You can love someone and their content without agreeing with everything they put out. Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't expect y'all to agree with me all the time. I know sometimes I have some spicy takes that y'all look at me sideways. And I can't blame you because some of the shit that comes out of my mouth sometimes is like, whoa. I mean, sometimes I look back. Look, I'll watch a live stream myself because I always like to go back and watch my live streams, right? To see if there's anything I can improve on, et cetera, et cetera. And sometimes I'll hear myself talk and I'm like, ooh, did you really have to say it like that? Ugh. So,
Yeah, this is the word. I want to actually do it.
Again, two things can be true. Gypsy Rose was terribly harmed, and there's no such thing as a perfect victim. But she did pop her mother with her own hand, and she did premeditate and facilitate and help carry out and see through the plan of taking her mother's life, and pled guilty to doing so. And given that she has dutifully served her time, I'm just a bit confused on why she is now seemingly walking back her role in this and placing it much more in Nick's lap than a shared responsibility with her as the one who planned it from the start. I mean, I think it's safe to say that Nick would never have.
I don't think she's walking it back. I don't think she's walking it back, though. She planned it. She told him to do it. She was wrong by the letter of the law, but she didn't actually do the act. See, that's another thing y'all need to figure. People need to. Don't y'all think she's probably mentally stunted, too, because of what happened with her mother? Gypsy Rose probably looks at things black and white, too. And you also have to think she probably has a PR team that's telling her what to say. The girl barely knows how to function. She's weird. She's going to be weird. Yeah, I don't understand where she walked it back either. Like, where is the walk back? What, because her husband said something? Did you not see the look on her face when her husband was talking? That's the look like, if you don't shut your mouth, shut the hell up. What?
I've done this if Gypsy Rose hadn't asked and planned it.
Honestly, she asked me to.
Okay. So Gypsy knew you were going to do it because Gypsy asked you to.
Yes.
At some point, you decided to mother. Is that correct?
Yes.
When was that?
Thoughts of it started a year prior to the murder actually happening.
Whose idea was it to mother?
Mine.
Did you and Nick ever talk about this?
Yes.
Who initially brought up mother?
I did. So you would have done it if somebody else would have asked?
No. There's no way I would do it for anyone else.
Okay, so you just
I truly do worship her to the point.
Hold on a second. Yeah, I thought so. I don't know who that is. No. Let's put that over here. Bada bing. Bada bing. Bada boom. Okay, back and oh, I almost hit the end stream ending. There we go.
But lately, I've been struggling, right? Because I'm so like, just get on the fence with some of these things because I really want to be supportive of her in regards to the things that she survived that no one should have to go through. But I've been feeling more and more like Gypsy Rose blames Nick almost fully for why she had to spend time in prison. There's even a Q&A from Gypsy Rose via her ex-prison mate saying the following, quote, question, what is your feelings towards Nick? Do you regret meeting him? Gypsy Rose's answer, I don't have...
Janelle, this is what I think it is. I think, life experiences and your own morals and your own outlook in life heavily weighs on how you look at this Gypsy Rose case. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be for real. I think that has a lot to do with how you look at this Gypsy Rose case. Because this case, no matter how you look at it, is not a black and white case. There's a lot of nuance in it. So a lot of people have a lot of different feelings about it, and it's going to be based on your own morals and shit like that. So it's basically a case where I don't think everybody is wrong. Not everybody is right, and not everybody is wrong all at the same time. You know?
Any feelings for him. He is my ex. He is my past, and I do regret meeting him. Had I met a real man who I confided in to help me get out from under my mother's grasp, I would not be sitting in prison right now. A real man would have called the authorities to get me away from her. I take my responsibility for my part of the crime, but he played the bigger part. It's perplexing, and it has caused me to question and second guess.
I don't have a problem with what she said there. You know what? What if she'd have met somebody? What if she would have met somebody normal? Like a normal, like not Godejohn, all right? And normal as they can be. I mean, they were on an internet Christian chat, so they're not going to be that normal. And they would have talked and say they would have like, oh, babe, you can really walk, but your mother makes you have a feeding tube, and your mother makes you sit in a wheelchair. What if they would have called the cops instead? It might have been a different outcome. I don't have a problem with what she said there. Had I met a real man who had confided in to help me get out from under my mother's grasp, I would not be sitting in prison right now. Is that not wrong? Where in that statement is that wrong? I don't get it. I don't get where she's wrong there.
Part of the crime, but he played the bigger part. It's perplexing, and it has caused me to question.
And he did play the bigger part. He stabbed her 17 times. And let's not forget, he wanted to, our word, the dead body. Yeah. If she would have met someone else besides him, this would have probably turned out differently. I mean, bro, what?
And second guess so many elements of this very nuanced and complex case. On one hand, I'm incredibly sympathetic to what she survived. She should not have had to live through that. And on the other hand, she took it to an extreme that even she herself, let's be clear, has admitted she had other choices. She has acknowledged she had other choices and chose not to take them, and that her mother did not deserve to lose her life.
I was processing it all, but I felt
Okay, I do not agree with that part, but
a sense of guilt. Because I'm like, I'm hearing these words like, your mother was a whatever. She deserved it. And I'm like, no, she didn't. I think the one thing that people think is that I hated my mom. And I'm like, no, I loved my mom. I just wanted out of that situation. I wanted out of that home.
So as you may have guessed, people...
Does anybody understand what it feels like to be trapped in a situation where at the time you feel like there's no other way out? Does anybody know that? That's like somebody telling me when I was in that really bad relationship for 6 years, okay? Horrible abuse in that relationship. Why didn't you just get up and walk away? Why didn't you say you were going to work one day and just leave? Why didn't you do that? That would be called victim blaming, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be called victim blaming? If you blame the victim for staying in that relationship for 6 years? Wouldn't that be called victim blaming? So, isn't that what they're kind of doing with Gypsy Rose? Aren't they kind of victim blaming her for not taking another route? Because they don't understand the human mind, how sometimes you get so trapped you feel like there is no other way out. This is what pisses me off about people. I feel like they're victim blaming her. Listen, just because you think, and unless you were in the exact situation, I honestly don't want to hear what you would have done. But just because you think you would have done something differently, unless you were in that situation, you can't say for a fact you would have done something differently. I mean, common sense.
Have started to correctly point out that she can't actually have it both ways. She did indeed identify as that in the second degree, which is what she served her time for, but now people are questioning the degree of accountability that is or isn't being taken here.
I think that we both, like him and I, both have a lot of regrets. Obviously, I wish that this would have never happened this way. Now, for him specifically, I did my time. I know he's doing his time for his part of things. I hope that whatever he does with his future, because he is spending the rest of his life in prison, I acknowledge that I am the reason for that. However, I don't feel either that it's a situation where it's a sympathetic type of situation. Okay. And I mean, the reason why I say that is because in my past relationships, I've had 2 relationships since I've been incarcerated. And each one of my exes and even my husband is like, baby, if you would have asked me that question, if you would have said, hey, can you kill my mom to get me out of the situation? They would have said, no. Okay, no, we're not doing that.
Let's go to the police.
Let's go to the police. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna get you out of the situation, but let's go to the authorities, all right? And we're gonna do this the right way. Nick did not say that. He has these dark fantasies. He wanted to do it. It was a fantasy he lived out, and he's paying the consequences for that. So with that being said, it's neither here nor there, in my opinion, what I think of the situation. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
I don't have a problem with it. I'm sitting here now going, it is what it is. I've been saying it is what it is the whole entire time. It is what it is. The only thing I will give up for Godejohn is he needs to be in a mental institution. He doesn't need to be on Gen Pop. That's the only thing. Besides that, I'm telling you now, it is what it is. That's my thing. It is what it is. Natanya, I think the same thing. I don't understand what she said that was wrong. I really don't. Exactly, Eldfin? Exactly. I don't know what how is she supposed to atone for this? I don't understand.
Isn't interesting way to sum this up. And I'm honestly, I'm not trying to dig into her. I know this is incredibly nuanced. I'm just not at all sure why it would be appropriate to try and compare what her husband says he would do in this situation, as if he's going to be like, say anything else, but to compare him to what she planned and asked her online boyfriend to do over 10 years ago while she was in the throes of her mother's control and suffering. It's just, I don't see how we can compare these two situations.
Nick asked me, are we still doing this? Am I still coming there to do this? Yes or no? And I said yes.
Who talked you into killing your mother?
I did. I talked him into it.
I mean, her husband has never, will never, and can't ever relate. It just, none of us can, right? And for some reason, it feels like they're all blaming Nick for doing the very thing that Gypsy Rose talked him into doing to protect her.
He said that it's us against the world, and that he's going to protect me no matter what. You know, he was saying that he would protect me from anyone. I said anyone. He said yes. I said even my mother. He said yes.
She felt guilty about the whole situation. I had to make sure she was safe. And meaning, like, I had to make sure she felt like she could be comforted by
you. Okay.
Yes.
Gypsy Rose is a free woman now. They have the luxury of hindsight. It's impossible to compare her husband to Nick in that situation, in my opinion. So pointing this out shakes up some of the nuance in why Gypsy Rose Blanchard appeals to the public at large in the first place. Gypsy Rose Blanchard is indeed a victim of her own mother. Part of why she has become a larger-than-life figure in the public eye has to do with the idea that Gypsy Rose represents what can happen when somebody with trauma, you know, kind of gets revenge on their abuser, for lack of a better phrase there. Her fame softens the impact of what she actually did into a much more black and white description of a victim. Gypsy Rose is a victim. She is also somebody who planned and took a life, not some, you know, random celebrity as people were quick to paint her upon
It is what it is.
her release. Which leads me to another point that I've seen thrown around. Whether or not Gypsy Rose should be seen as a role model for doing whatever it takes to free oneself of the person harming them, or, as she has also said, be with the one she loved. Because if Gypsy Rose is a role model for this, then naturally, in the essence of fairness, would one then need to ask, what does that make Nick Godejohn?
The next thing I know, I ended up going right into it and thought there was no going back because I had myself on my word, and I was not one to break my word to really anyone at all if I had one to keep at the time. If it was worth keeping, I was going to keep it.
This is Nick Godejohn in an interview from prison stating that he was unwilling to break his promise to Gypsy Rose to help free her from Dee Dee. Gypsy Rose confirms this when she admits to People that, quote, "It's not like I didn't think of every other option besides murder. I even ran away from home, and within 4 hours she found me and brought me back, putting in place paperwork saying I was incompetent and she had power of attorney over me. I was trying really hard to figure out another way. One night Nick said, I will do anything to protect you, and I said, anything? He said, yes." I have a lot of very specific thoughts about this, but I don't know if I can articulate them as poignantly as I would like to be able to yet, because it is so nuanced. Because again, I'm not trying to dig in, but also there is a coldness and a detachment from the reality of her actual involvement in what she actually did, and I don't understand that.
Swoop is called trauma. The girl's life has been nothing but trauma. Like, her whole entire life has been trauma. That's what it is. It's fucking trauma. Oh my God. It's trauma. That's all this is trauma. Oh dear God. Shonda says Nick didn't know Dee Dee and just stabbed her 17 times. That's not someone just trying to get an abuser out of the way. That's someone who's thought of, before he had this opportunity, he took it. Bro.
And now, due to her sudden celebrity, many questions online have been raised. If Gypsy Rose is a role model, an icon, does that make Nick the savior, the white knight that rolled out the red carpet and paved the way for Gypsy Rose to be an icon? If Gypsy Rose had no way out of her situation other than this, if she believed that, if that's what it was, which many people argue in favor of, then does that make Nick her hero, the man who took action to give her the freedom she longed for? If she is to be praised for fighting back, is Nick also to be praised for being the tool used to achieve this freedom? So then I have to ask, is it appropriate to celebrate one and condemn the other? Should we be condemning both? Should we be celebrating both? Should we celebrate no one and just leave them where they are? And then other questions come out of this. If we are celebrating her and what she ultimately did, should we then reopen cases or release from prison other survivors?
See, I'm not celebrating what she did. I understand what she did was technically wrong. But I also live in a world that sometimes wrong things just happen. And, you know, not everything is white picket fences, unicorns, and rainbows and puppies and kittens. You know, sometimes life gets real messy, And I think this was one of those situations that life got real messy.
Survivors who took the life of their abusers? Or is that crossing the line? Where is the line? Like, I don't actually have all of the answers here, and my mind sees the cases to be made on all sides. And let me be clear, there's really nothing in me that could condone the taking of a life. I struggle a lot even with the idea of the death penalty for people who've done just like the most awful things. But just a piece of my personal context, I have survived violent and heinous abuse and SA that went on for years, but I still can't mentally get there. I couldn't imagine doing that to the person who did those things to me. But everyone...
I'm gonna keep my mouth shut on that one. I'm not getting into my story. All I can say is sometimes just things happen, and you know, sometimes people feel like that's the only way that can happen, you know?
Situation is different, right? And in reality, no one except Gypsy Rose truly knows if she knew there were other options at the time. But I do find it quite interesting that there doesn't seem to be a clear answer on where this leaves Nick. If we're celebrating what Gypsy Rose did, he's the one who helped make it happen. Now, many have quoted Nick saying, "I would do it again," without continuing the rest of the quote, as if to mean that he is a cold-blooded criminal who has no remorse. And I don't know, maybe he doesn't. However, I think it is important to share that the full context of his quote is actually, quote, "I would have done it again. I might have done it differently, but I would have done it again. I couldn't see Gypsy Rose suffer anymore."
Okay, so please explain to me how the rest of that sentence, how the rest of that quote changes that. Explain to me how the rest of that quote changes that. It doesn't change anything.
He's there. He wanted to end her suffering.
I would have done it again. I really would. I would have done it again. I might have done it differently, but I would have done it again. I couldn't see her suffer anymore.
So do with that what you will. Can one be the hero and make the other the villain? Quote, "He was saying that he would protect me from anyone. I said, anyone? And he said, yes. I said, even my mother? He said, yes." We're going to shift now into a segment that I like to do in these docs called Perspective. This is where, after going through the story from one main person's perspective, like Gypsy Rose and Dee Dee, now we're going to flip it and try to see this from
Hey, Moody, it still didn't change it. Moody, calling me a Miss Paws Andy. Of course I'm a Miss Paws Andy because I have a lot of things to say, Miss Moody Morgan. But he R-worded Gypsy, big hero. Yeah, you did.
Nick's perspective, whether it's in favor of other people or not, to try to understand more about what might have been going on through his mind. So it's kind of a bit of devil's advocate, if you will, respectfully. And this is something I like to do to really try to see the information for what it is and try to strip some of the natural biases that we may have developed as onlookers on the outside. Like, listen, we all have biases. If you are human and living and breathing, you have bias. Even the director of Gypsy Rose's Lifetime documentary that she is promoting and doing the red carpets for says that they are now very close friends, which then, of course, would lead one to ask, you know, if the documentary was made by a close friend, was it edited in a biased way to make the story look a certain way or not? You know, this is just kind of the nature of the beast here. And one of the often overlooked parts of this story relates to Nick Godejohn's diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder, as well as the speculation that he may have dissociative identity disorder, or DID. Nick's mental health was brought up by his defense during his trial, but was ultimately a non-factor before he was found guilty of first degree and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
And there's no doubt in your mind that he is on the autism spectrum disorder scale, is that correct?
Yes, I believe he has enough autism characteristics that he meets the definition for autism spectrum disorder.
Now, I should note that some states like California allow parole eligibility for first degree, but the state of Missouri does not. It's either the death penalty or life without parole and nothing less. And I always think that that's an important distinction to make, as the sentencing doesn't always reflect the severity of how the crime is interpreted from state to state. Someone could get life without parole here and it be considered less heinous of an act than someone in a different state who has the ability for parole. You know what I mean? Now,
and I think you're actually correct. There's no good in this whole situation. Seems like all we can do is suss, I think you're saying out because the heart is blocking it, suss out what is the least bad. Yeah. No, I think you're correct in that. Yeah, suss out, yeah.
When Nick was interviewed for the show Killer Couples, he stated that from the very first step he took into the house on the night of the crime, he knew that there was no turning back. And he referred to the idea of having an angel on one shoulder and a devil on the other, sort of like you see depicted in cartoons.
Basically, it was an angel and a devil. I actually had two different ones speaking to me. They both said one thing and left the decision up to me. First, the angel spoke, which I wish I was able to listen to, because it's really weird, because it only reassured me that my original idea of what we should do would have been the right thing to do. But it actually said, his very actual words was, take her and run. That's his very words. I had the other part of me, and Yeah, that darn devil. Some darn reason, I don't know why it inflamed the emotion of enrage, but it did. It inflamed the emotion of rage.
Nick's talk in regards to the good angel and the bad angel relate to the claim that he's stuck to for the entirety of his story, that he exhibits multiple personalities in what is known modernly as dissociative identity disorder, DID. It is very important to note that Nick has never formally been diagnosed with DID, but through testimony after testimony, he often refers to a devil within himself and has even said that his, quote, evil side enjoys taking life. This was even waxed on by Gypsy Rose and said that his, quote, evil side enjoys taking life. This was
Nah. Keep him locked up. And if he hasn't been diagnosed with DID, then we can't say he has DID.
himself and has even said that his, quote, evil side enjoys taking life. This was even waxed on by Gypsy Rose when she spoke to ass Dr. Phil in 2017.
He said that he was psychic and that...
He said that his evil side enjoyed taking life. What?
And has even said that his, quote, evil side enjoys taking life. This was even waxed on by Gypsy Rose when she spoke to ass Dr. Phil in 2017.
He said that he was psychic and that he had these premonitions. He thought that he was a 500-year-old vampire named Victor.
A 500-year-old vampire named Victor.
Now, there are two broad potential scenarios here. Nick either has DID and firmly believes that one altar is violent while others are not, or he may be leaning into the pop culture iconography of, the devil on my shoulder. Now, I'm not a mental health professional, so I won't lean one way or another, nor can I make any claim as to whether or not Nick is fully aware or not of the status with his own mental health. However, to get some insight on Nick's mental health from a more informed outside perspective, I went to y'all for the answers. I reached out via Twitter to see if any of you were either experts in autism spectrum disorder, which we'll refer to as ASD, or DID, or if you yourself have been diagnosed with either and would be willing to answer a few questions regarding Nick Godejohn's ultimate place in the story. I wanted not only the opinions of more qualified...
Can we interview the evil... Shut up, Star. I don't know what to say about this part. If he said so himself that his evil side likes to take life, and he was willing to take a life, then who's to say the evil side wouldn't wake up one day and want to take a life? That's the part I don't understand. That's the part I don't understand. Like, I'm going to be honest. I wouldn't feel comfortable with him walking around. I wouldn't, after hearing, him talking in interviews and stuff like that, I wouldn't feel comfortable with him walking around. Yeah, exactly. If he falls in love with another girl and she wants someone murdered, what's he going to do? I don't trust him. Yeah. I don't trust him walking around.
Minds than mine, but also a chance to have some of you representing the ASD or DID community to have some representation here. We love you and we thank you for being in this community. Thank you. To establish lived-in experience, I asked everyone what it was like living with ASD or DID. Ghosty, who is diagnosed with both, told me, quote, "We were diagnosed with DID in November 2020.
Woo, I got scared for a second. When she said ghosty, I got scared for a second. Thank you, Jesus, it doesn't have two eyes instead of a Y. Oh my God, I got scared as hell. When she said that, I was like, no! Woo! Okay, all right. My God, my heart skipped a beat there for a second. Worried as hell. Oh. Woo! Woo! That was scary.
Me too, but have struggled with it most of our upbringing without understanding. Having autism growing up, we were always in special needs class. As an adult, it has led to several learning setbacks that make it hard to work a normal job outside our house being glued to a set routine indoors. DID feels like a constant series of glitches throughout the day. Nothing is as simple as it seems. For someone who doesn't dissociate, memory is jumpy, often not fully remembering details of things, just pieces. We will never be a fully consistent self. We are all so different as a system, which leads to struggles within relationships with family, friends, everyone. What Ghosty's system describes is sadly common throughout the answers in regards to what life is like with DID and living as as an autistic person, though every experience is unique. Mr. Cheeseball, who is currently 40 and has ASD, said, living with it has been hard. I have the emotional reactions of a teenager. I'm in therapy for it currently. Now, one of my anonymous answerers said, quote, I feel very isolated living with autism. You're not normal enough for the normal kids, but not disabled enough for the disabled kids, so there is never a place to fit in. Now, in addition to Twitter, I actually received a video response from Instagram and TikTok creator and autism advocate Rebecca Faith Cruz, who had this insightful answer.
When people find out that I am autistic, they often infantilize me. And at times when I ask very valid questions, there's this almost preschool-like tone where they talk down to me like I'm a 5-year-old who cannot understand. There is a lot of stigma surrounding autism that I think can be summed up in one word, and that is incapable. No matter what it is, we are thought to be completely incapable.
The reason I'm sharing all of these...
How come you didn't talk to Bo Blacks? He's like the autistic king. He is the king of autists. How come you didn't talk to Bo Blacks? Bobby has a whole ass channel about being autistic. Come on now.
These testimonials up front is to highlight the diversity in symptoms of both ASD and DID, as well as helping establish the idea that one person's diagnosis is not another person's diagnosis. But in each testimonial, we find that issues exist that can make life much more difficult for people living with both. This was also backed up by a number of experts that I spoke to, including Christina Murray, who is a licensed mental health clinician in the state of New Hampshire, who states, a good amount of my clients have ASD or symptoms of ASD and have not been formally diagnosed. DID is much rarer in my experience working in mental health, but DID can typically manifest from untreated complex trauma, meaning if your PTSD is not treated and there are additional factors, then you could be more likely to develop DID. Before even getting into questions pertaining to Nick and Gypsy Rose, each participant shared their feelings on whether there were stigmas surrounding ASD and DID, and whether medical professionals accurately diagnosed both. Unsurprisingly, everybody agreed that there were in fact stigmas, and virtually everybody saw issues with accuracy in diagnosis. One anonymous response said, yes, there are a lot of stigmas around ASD that take place all across the spectrum. I believe that it's hard to get an autism diagnosis wrong, but I do believe that medical professionals often refuse to diagnose autism due to their own personal biases, which, if that's the case, that just is so irresponsible of professionals. Christina Murray spoke more directly on DID, stating that DID is often stigmatized as something scary or something you would see on a talk show, or worse, glamorized and romanticized on screen. So we know that Nick's ASD diagnosis was brought up in trial, and his attorney attempted to use it as an explanation that he wasn't fully capable or aware of what he was doing.
In elementary school, he was diagnosed with autism. Nick was autistic, and perhaps he was unable to form the necessary intent to commit first degree.
A low-functioning person with autism.
There's been a lot of debate about whether or not this is true, and if this is something that should be brought up in trial, or if it's further stigmatizing ASD. It also begs the question, are people with ASD or DID more or less likely to commit a violent crime, or is that not a factor?
No, I don't think that's a factor. I think that's something deeper within them. I don't think that's a factor. I really don't. There's plenty of autistic people out there that I don't think would hurt a fly. You know, I don't think that's a factor at all. I really don't. She did all this research, but failed to mention his sexually violent tendencies. Like, I'm watching this, and I know we got, like, about 40 minutes left, and I'm hoping that she brings it up. Like, why didn't she bring that? Why didn't she bring up what he wanted to do? Because to me, that says a lot. When he asked Gypsy, okay, but I want to R-word her body. Like, that's important to me. Why didn't she put that there?
Christina Murray believes it is actually quite helpful for diagnoses to be brought up in a criminal trial. Quote, in my clinical opinion, mental and behavioral health is no different than medical health. A good amount of my clients residentially are here because they were too unsafe to be in the community and need treatment, but they still have criminal charges or have done something that led them to this place of needing help. Some of them are violent. My colleagues and I have been choked, punched, SA'd, or attacked by teenagers and have been lots of physical restraints. It's part of why they are here, and the inability to regulate or manage their emotions due to the trauma and lack of appropriate caregivers in their lives teaching them those skills. And first of all, let me just give you a huge thank you for the work that you are doing. I can't imagine how difficult it can be on a day-to-day basis if those are some of the things that you are facing, but I am so thankful that people like you exist that are helping people who need.
You gotta give the whole story of him. I feel like she didn't give the whole story of him, and I'm hoping within these next 40 minutes she does, but I don't think she is. You gotta give his whole story. You did. Bro, come on.
need the support. Danny Van Derzen Smith, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, an autistic coach from the UK who provides training for the National Health Service on Autism and Neurodiversity, agrees, stating, I think neurodivergence certainly can be relevant in the sense that we need to be able to understand a defendant's experience and motivations more accurately without neurotypical assumptions. Quantum Kitty also states that diagnoses of ASD and DID are relevant at trial, and I feel like ignoring it doesn't take into account an extremely important and relevant part of a person's health and ability to commit a crime, their culpability. Most DID patients have a protector alter, and while not always dangerous, they certainly can be. And with ASD, we don't always have control over our reactions either. Some of these answers split down the middle in terms of perspective. One anonymous person states they can't stand diagnoses being used at trial because they believe it creates a larger stigma than there already is. It can be seen as a get-out-of-jail-free card to many people. There are cases where said person is manipulated into doing said crime, since autistic people, folks with DID, tend to be more reliant and dependent on someone. Now, Ambrosia states, I think it's important to highlight diagnoses, but it could create negative stigma towards those who put in the work to rework that stigma. And far more definitively, when Anonymous 3 was asked if someone with these diagnoses are more likely to commit a crime, they said, quote, people with ASD and DID are more likely to be subjected to...
No, I don't think she's making autistic people look evil. I don't think she's doing that. Now, I'm not going to say she's doing that. I don't think she's doing that. I will say I think she's over-explaining it. So I can see where you think she's doing that because she's over-explaining it. I think, honestly, she could cut this off right here and we don't need the rest of whatever this is.
To abuse than they are to committing violent crime. Rebecca agrees.
Bringing up Nick's autism diagnosis within this trial is extremely harmful. It perpetuates this idea that autistic people are violent, when autistic people statistically on end are far more likely to be the victims of violent crime than we are to be perpetrators. As an autistic person, I feel as though Nick was looking to be violent, and I feel as though his autism was an excuse to not be held accountable for that violence.
Now, according to Nick, this is why he believes he has DID.
I should actually bring up another moment when I was 14 years old, and that's when I first glimpse of it. This is when I realized that all the other things that were building up in me were basically jeopardizing my inner happiness, my inner peace, and all the rest of that. Because I remember seeing one night, it was at 9 o'clock at night time, I was in my grandma's house. I just remember looking in the mirror and I saw a glimpse of something I didn't recognize in my eye, and it went away. It was almost like something was trying to tell me, oh, yo, I'm there.
He should have been institutionalized a long time ago. Honestly, he should have never had the chance to even meet Gypsy Rose. He should have never had the chance to meet her. He should have been institutionalized a long time ago. I think she's saying it's not an excuse for him doing what he did and to stop using it as a shield, which I agree with. If that's what she's saying, Lexi, then yes, I do agree with that also. Because I don't think the autism made him do it. I mean, no, I don't think that at all.
You created me. I'm there. And so really, I knew there was a darker part of me, and I was actually quite terrified to actually explore it. And now I actually regret exploring it with Gypsy. She's the one I hoped I would be brave enough to actually explore it with me, just so that's the way I understand what's inside.
Now, it's important to know that interrogation footage exists of Nick's mother remarking on his exact state of mind, not only at the time he ended DD, but throughout his life. And I pretty much never see anyone reference this footage. Perhaps it's not as, sensational, but Nick's mother did raise him and was with him every day of his life, presumably, and she has a perspective that has a right to be heard as well. She mentions that Nick had been told Nick's mental development would forever be the mind of a 15, 16-year-old with an IQ of 82.
We always keep a close watch on him because he has... And that's
Is he diagnosed with...
Okay, so that's why we kind of, treat him like, when he was last doctor talked to, they said his mind is probably always going to be 15, 16, right around there. So we always try to keep a close watch on him. When he said he wanted to go down there, I mean, that was a basket case. I'm like, you've never been out on your own.
I do think it's interesting that Nick's mother said she was a basket case the first time he went out on his own because he's never done that. And when he was leaving this time and the taxi pulled up, she said, it's not okay for you to just take off. You didn't tell us where you're going. Nick was a 26-year-old grown man physically when he was leaving the house to be with Gypsy Rose. So it is not, in my experience, common for a mother to have this much concern over their 26-year-old grown son leaving the house unless perhaps he had a history of not doing well on his own.
Oh, okay.
Perhaps due to his mental health. To me, this suggests, and I believe she is suggesting, that there's far more to his mental health disorder than some might think, which lines up with his mother saying that doctors told her that he'd have the mind of a 15, 16-year-old. Like, I would worry about a 16-year-old getting in a taxi and going off on their own. Now, let's be clear, IQ tests are not a perfect barometer of one's intellect, but it is worth noting that Nick's IQ score of 82 is what is considered to be on the low side of a low average IQ. So with a score of 100 being a theoretical average in an IQ test and anything below 70 signifying a sign of mental disability, Nick has what IQtest.com change.org refers to as a lower average intelligence level compared to the general population. However, it is important to know
your basic Twitter user. No, I'm sorry. I had to throw that joke in there. This is just like too much big words for me. My bad.
Note that this doesn't mean they lack intelligence or are incapable of learning and developing skills. Instead, it suggests that they may require more time or different methods to process information and learn new concepts. This score is just a snapshot of their cognitive abilities at a particular time and can change with education, experience, and personal development. Nick's mother also makes it a point to mention that after a life of non-violence on Nick's end, according to her, she claims that Gypsy Rose was in fact the person who got in his head by orchestrating everything.
He knows what he's done is wrong. Yeah. He knows that, or well, he says that he would have never hurt anyone if it wasn't for Gypsy and his love for Gypsy. He said she wanted him to do it. But he's doing fine. He cried a lot. Today, when I spoke with him briefly, I had to tell him about the warrants and stuff, and he cried a lot. Not necessarily about the charges. He's like, okay, he appears okay with that part of it, but the part that he's never even seen Gypsy again or you or whatever.
So she amazingly got into his head pretty well.
I understand it.
And it's weird because I almost feel like Nick's safer right now than having her orchestrating him doing anything. You know, it was like everything she said, he would know, you know, okay, baby, or whatever. And
which I think is also fascinating, given that this interview with Nick's mother happened before Nick's trial, where Gypsy Rose also said, I talked him into it.
I did. I talked him into it.
We all know that she's... bro. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Swoop. No. Swoop. No. Oh, God. I hate this video. Oh, God, I hate this video so much. Why did y'all let me watch this? Why didn't y'all stop me? I'm blaming y'all for this, okay? I'm blaming y'all for this. Okay? I'm literally blaming y'all for this.
So the questions being raised are, did Gypsy Rose get into Nick's head, or was Gypsy Rose someone forced to be submissive to a terrible mother, just doing what she thought she was supposed to do to please her boyfriend? And on the other side, was Nick's head composed of a lower average intelligence level IQ and ASD diagnosis? Was he more vulnerable to being manipulated into doing something like this? Did Gypsy Rose manipulate him? If she did, was it intentional or was it subconscious, given the harm that Dee Dee had on her psychological development? And what of this 500-year-old vampire named Victor? Well, Gypsy Rose has said that she used to create different personalities to match Nick's alleged alters. One of them was a girl named Ruby who wore black and a red wig. Now, I want to read some from a police report that I've actually never heard anyone talk about. This is a supplemental report from the Greene County Sheriff's Department detailing the contents of a 15-minute cell phone video that they found that Gypsy Rose had made and sent to Nick. So here's from the report. Hi, sir, this is Ruby, and I'm making this video as an introduction video. Gypsy Rose admits Ruby is the most evil side of her. Gypsy Rose stated in this audio video she likes to get in trouble and she is not sorry when she gets caught. Gypsy Rose stated her carrying was broken and she was not scared of law enforcement, but she would be scared of Nicholas's evil side. Gypsy Rose stated she would do anything with
They had erotic role play. They literally had erotic role play. Oh my God.
Nicholas to include M, R-word, and assault. Gypsy Rose tells Nicholas if at any time, so this is recounting what she is saying in the video to Nick. So in the video, Gypsy Rose tells Nicholas if at any time a girl tried to become his girlfriend, she would end their life with pleasure and there would be lots of gore. Gypsy Rose stated if a girl was trying to get with Nicholas for S, she might allow it, but if the girl tried to get with him as a girlfriend, she would take her life or they could take that life together. Gypsy Rose
Y'all should hear y'all should hear what I tell my husband going, let a woman come up and try to become your girlfriend or something like that. Might be used against me in the court of law one day. You never know. Just saying. I'm a jealous bitch. I'll sit here and say it. I'm jealous as hell.
Rose goes on to say how if it were family members unalive, she would not be so brutal and she would have to step back and let him handle it. Now, Gypsy Rose talked about how she was very good at planning things. Gypsy Rose said she liked to cause mischief and mayhem, but Nicholas would have to put her in charge of all the planning, which of course is striking, given that Gypsy Rose is the one who planned the unaliving of her mother, asking Nick to carry it out for her, right? Gypsy Rose stated that she comes up with very, very bad ideas, and then she referred to her bad ideas as robbery, R-word, vandalism, and stealing vehicles. The remainder of the video, Gypsy Rose talked about her and Nicholas bonding when they could finally be together. It's kind of chilling, right? On one hand, on Gypsy Rose's side of the perspective coin, she has said this was her first relationship. She was just wanted to make Nick happy, and she would play this Ruby role to become whatever he wanted to appease his darker Victor side, which could be entirely true. On the other hand, from Nick's mother's perspective, Gypsy Rose manipulated and got in his head, made him do things that he never would have done otherwise, like discuss R-word and taking a life. That he was more impressionable, that he had the mind of a 16-year-old. He was more vulnerable to being manipulated. So let me ask all of y'all, what explanation do you think makes the most sense here? And I mean, is there an explanation? Now, Nick's mother goes on to say that she even believes that Nick is safer being in prison than associating with Gypsy Rose at all, and that Gypsy Rose is a beast.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. I had to take this hoodie off. Hold on. Wait. Ugh, where's the headset? Oh, here it is. Wait, the mother said what?
Than associating with Gypsy. Is there an explanation? Now, Nick's mother goes on to say that she even believes that Nick is safer being in prison than associating with Gypsy Rose at all, and that
is he safer or is society safer? And the mother just can't bring herself to say it. All right, hold on. I'm sorry. If she ain't gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, hold on. Nicholas Godejohn. Prior convictions. Of course, now I'm not going to be able to watch. I'm not going to be able to find it. 2018. Just in your trial during the. Oh my God, they didn't even spell trials right in this. SWAT teams around. Alright, so I'm going to have to look it up. And we'll have to talk about it the next time we talk about Gypsy. When we go to Radiant Brit. Because I used to have the... I had an article that talked about, like, his prior stuff. And, of course, I can't find it because I'm looking for it right now. Okay, wait a minute. Prior... Oh, wait. In 2013 was accused. Okay, here it is. 2013, Godejohn, who was 23 at the time, was accused of watching porn at McDonald's for nearly 9 hours, according to the report. Customers spotted him with his hands down his pants and called the police, as one does. He then told the police that while he looked like he was engaging in self-love in a public space, he was actually just scratching himself. 9 hours! Police didn't buy it. He was charged with carrying a concealed weapon. He had a large folding knife in his pocket and disorderly conduct. And Nick was apparently also into necrophilia. Yeah. So that's not the article I had originally, but that is a article that I found, like, on the fly. Yeah, rookie numbers. Step those numbers up. So, and that's just on the fly. I'm going to try to find the actual article that I had before.
Gypsy Rose is a beast.
You know him better than anybody probably in the world, so you know what he's thinking, you know how he's feeling, and you know what's going on with him. Yeah. And all I can do for you... I almost feel like he's safer. Yeah, it's really, really bad to say, but I almost feel like he's safer now than having contact with her on a regular basis, knowing what I know now. Yeah. I just...
You know what it sounds like to me? It sounds like... Okay, so I don't mean to make this sound bad, but I don't know how else to say this, so please excuse me. I'm not trying to sound bad. But hearing her say that, it almost sounds like now the mother's going to have freedom. She sounds like a mother's going to have freedom for herself because she has to take care of her almost 30-year-old child. You know? So.
It's really sad because he is a good kid and he's a good looking kid, and for him to ruin his life over that, I'm sorry, but she's a beast.
Something that is odd to me, and again, we're still looking at this from potentially Nick or his family's perspective. What is odd is the evolution of Gypsy Rose's responses regarding her involvement in what happened to her mother. So more recently, Gypsy Rose's ex-prison mate and close friend Rachel Garlick has released some messages that she says Gypsy Rose allegedly wrote while in prison. Now, essentially, Rachel Garlick was posting some videos of Gypsy Rose on social media after Rachel had been out on parole while Gypsy Rose was still in prison, with Gypsy Rose's permission, until Gypsy Rose eventually asked her to take the videos down.
So there were some people that got in Gypsy's ear, and there was a big misunderstanding. Our friendship's fine. Everything's great now, guys. But Gypsy's been really stressed out due to the mixed information that she's been getting from haters. So we just think it's best that we take everything down pertaining to her.
Rachel was also allegedly acting as a sort of liaison to Gypsy Rose, where people would submit questions to Rachel, she would get them to Gypsy Rose, and then Rachel would post Gypsy Rose's answers online. And one of those answers was interesting. I've read it earlier. Question: what is your feelings towards Nick? Do you regret meeting him? Answer: I don't have any feelings for him. He is my ex, he is my past, and I do regret meeting him.
And again, I don't have a problem with a damn thing she said in that statement. I don't have a damn problem what she said in that statement.
Had I met a real man who I confided in to help me get out from under my mother's grasp, I would not be sitting in prison right now. So it's interesting to me that she keeps kind of leaning into this, well, if he was a real man, I wouldn't be in prison, even though it was essentially her plan and she asked him to execute it. Interesting. So if we look at some of the evolution at trial, she said that she talked him into it. In her People interview, she said, it's not like I didn't think of every other option besides M. I was trying really hard to figure out another way. In interview now, she said that she requested, then asked Nick for help.
If you think about it, yes, I had a part to play in it. I asked Nick for help.
She says she's the reason he's in prison.
You know, I hope that whatever he does with his future, because he is spending the rest of his life in prison, I acknowledge that I am the reason for that. However,
you know, this is what irritates the hell out of me. People actually expect Gypsy Rose to be normal. I want her to be as normal as possible. But she has never lived a normal day in her life. Why did y'all expect her to come out of prison and be normal? I do not understand. Why did y'all expect her to come out of prison normal? I don't get it.
I don't feel either that it's a situation where it's a sympathetic type of situation.
She pled guilty to second degree, though it was premeditated, but doesn't identify as a murderer because Nick is the one who did it, right? The evolution.
I can't kill anyone. That's why he's in trouble to begin with, because he's the one that did it.
And that it is what it is.
He wanted to do it. It was a fantasy he lived out, and he's paying the consequences for that. So with that being said, you know, it's neither here nor there, in my opinion, what I think of the situation. It's just, it is what it is.
To a red carpet where she holds up a microphone to her husband as he states that Nick was the master manipulator.
I think one is, you know, people call...
Okay, I don't what. Oh, god damn it, Swoop. What the fuck, bro? What?
Call her the master manipulator. It wasn't that. It was the other way around in that relationship.
I'm confused, y'all. On one hand, Gypsy Rose is still processing quite a lot and should be given time to do so, and I think probably out of the public eye and not on the red carpet. I do not think what is happening is healthy. And on the other hand, she says that she's taken accountability while also seemingly diminishing her role every time I catch new interviews with her, and diminishing from what she actually pled guilty to doing.
She's like, I mean, is she taking any sort of, you know, she's like, well, okay, it was me too, or she jumped off? She takes some responsibility, but not much. Not much at all.
I don't fully know what to make of this. I do have some pretty firm thoughts, but I'd rather open the conversation up to all of you in the comments. Like, what do you think of this? Is this just clunky communication? Is it misunderstanding? Is it manipulation? Or is it just what it is?
It's just, it is what it is.
Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
It is what it is.
I would love to hear what you think about this. Now, Nick's past criminal history is often brought up when discussing the likelihood of whether Nick will offend again. Back in 2013, Nick had problems with the law relating to indecent exposure when he was found watching Key and self-pleasing.
Oh, she does mention it! Oh, she mentions it an hour and 38 minutes in? You couldn't mention it way the hell before? Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Wait a minute.
about this. Now, Nick's past criminal history is often brought up when discussing the likelihood of whether Nick will offend again. Back in 2013, Nick had problems with the law relating to indecent exposure when he was found watching pee and self-pleasing for 9 hours in a McDonald's. Another factor that's brought up is Gypsy Rose alleging that Nick expressed wanting to SA Dee Dee Blanchard after the act, with Gypsy Rose stating she told Nick that he could do that to her after.
Oh, it wasn't just SA. He wanted to R. He used the word R. He specifically asked to R the dead body.
Expressed wanting to SA Dee Dee Blanchard after the act, with Gypsy Rose stating she told Nick that he could do that to her after the crime instead. Of course, he has a different perspective and interpretation on that. These points are often brought up on both sides of the debate surrounding Nick in regards to his state of mind, his IQ, his diagnoses should have mattered in regards to his sentencing, or if it should all be left out. This has led to discourse surrounding Nick that I wanted to navigate because there's a question starting to heat up in the wake of the remarks Gypsy Rose has made about this case. Did Gypsy Rose Blanchard coerce Nick into ending her mom? In an episode of Killer Couples, this was asked to Dr. Mark Feldman, an expert on Munchausen syndrome by proxy and author of the book Dying to be Ill, True Stories of Medical Deception, who believed that Gypsy Rose, whether she meant to or not, manipulated Nick. Quote, she was the one who was trapped in an unfortunate situation and wanted to escape, but he ended up being the mechanism for the M of Dee Dee, and that does show some real skill in manipulating.
I'm not sitting here saying she didn't manipulate him. Anybody who says that she didn't manipulate him is crazy. She obviously manipulated him. Remember, she had learned to lie and manipulate all her life. Duh.
Another person, even though Nicholas had his own psychological problems even before he met Gypsy Rose. This wasn't sort of an...
But that's not Gypsy Rose's problem. Wait. Okay, here's my problem. I don't want this painted, and I hope the guy Swoop doesn't do this. Don't paint it that Gypsy Rose manipulated him because she knew about his mental issues. Because you have to remember she had her own mental issues. She was literally living through trauma. So she didn't manipulate him because of his mental issues. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me take advantage because he has autism. No. She wanted to get out of a situation.
Instant decision, and in a real sense, she groomed Nicholas to be the instrument by which Dee Dee was ended. Coupled with multiple testimonies establishing the idea that Nick Godejohn is almost honest to a fault, Nick's mother stated that Nick will tell the truth no matter what.
He definitely did it. He definitely told us exactly how he did it. And it matches. He'll be honest. He's honest. Yeah. He's honest. And it matches everything he said, matches our scene and everything, and it's consistent. And I just want you to know that, whatever he's done, he is a good kid. I get that feeling. He is a really good kid, and anything you ask him, he will be honest with you. Okay.
Now, with this in mind, going back to my Twitter interviews, Ramasta told me that they believe Nick was manipulated by Gypsy Rose, whether she realized it or not, but he deserves his conviction. Quote, at the end of the day, he did M someone, so yes, his conviction makes sense. He made the decision and had multiple days to think it through, understand what he was considering and the possible outcomes. That's not to say that he would have correctly understood the most likely outcome. I do not necessarily agree that life without parole is the fitting sentence. More needs to be researched on ASD and how it affects thought process. Now, Quantum Kitty agrees, stating, Nick seems very sweet, protective, and mostly childlike. I don't see him as violent. My heart has always gone out to him. Gypsy Rose was horrifically manipulated. She didn't deserve any of what her mother put her through, but people who have been manipulated can become very good manipulators themselves. What about the professional point of view? Christina Murray believes that Nick is somebody, quote, on the receiving end of that untreated complex trauma, likely mixed with ASD. That makes him view the world as unsafe, mixed with thinking distortions, ASD, and viewing the world as rigid, black and white, a need to make things right, combined with disruptive attachments, his enmeshed relationship with Gypsy Rose. However, in regards to Gypsy Rose, she states that she is, quote, also a person that presents with clear trauma symptoms, and with what we know of her story feels accurate. Gypsy Rose's lack of appropriate relationships with caregivers, minimal social interactions, or ability to develop appropriately due to medical negligence played out with her relationships we see now. She wasn't able to develop a healthy sense of identity and is now trying to catch up. She didn't have the skills to problem solve other solutions to manage her distress and tapped into a fantasy world with Nick to get her needs met without maybe understanding how this could play out for her in the real world. Now, another...
I don't think he's sweet. He's definitely not sweet. Yeah, that was a lot. That, oh my God.
Professional that I spoke to, a mental health nurse in the UK, admits they haven't looked into Nick all that much, but they take a firm stance against Gypsy Rose, stating Gypsy Rose comes across as a manipulative character with a strong desire to coerce or control a situation. The reason I say this, her story of events has changed so many times. She states she has a low IQ, but actually is intelligent and continues to play the victim of harm to get her own way or through life. While the trauma she experienced by her mother was shocking, I believe there has been a period of learned behavior from this and now has adapted this lying, manipulating way to get through life. Now, on the opposite end of this opinion is Rebecca, who said,
Gypsy Rose is a very complicated person, but at the end of the day, I feel as though she was a person who was trapped. I cannot imagine the trauma that her mind and physical body went through. I would
agree.
Not make the same decision that she did, but I also don't feel like she felt she had a choice. I do not disagree with Nick's conviction. He actively chose to partake in this violence. I do believe he should be in a psychiatric facility where he is getting the proper care that he deserves. Just locking him away, it is doing a disservice to the mental health community as a whole.
Danny Smith provides a nuanced take, stating that, quote, from what I have seen of the confession footage, Nick seems to be quite an honest person.
Okay, so I agree with the girl with the microphone. Okay? I agree with the girl on the microphone. I do. But I think he should have been locked up a long time ago.
A common autistic trait, perhaps even to his detriment. I do think he genuinely cared for Gypsy Rose. I also think that there is clearly all sorts of concerns about his choices and conduct that go way beyond his autistic identity. One thing I don't see mentioned.
And I will say a lot of people, and I can't remember who it was, but a lot of these, I would say about good half of them that she interviewed and she's showing what they said. I think a lot of them are on point too. Not all of them, but a lot of them.
Is the autistic propensity to get severely affected by perceived injustice. It is plausible to me that Nick's overwhelming sense of injustice Gypsy Rose suffered spurred his actions, as well as, I'm sure, other things. I'm not sure that Gypsy Rose has had much of a chance to be her own person yet. Danny's point of view is interesting, since it's a point of view Nick's own mother seems to agree with.
Well, good-natured kid, you know?
He definitely did it. He definitely told us exactly how he did it. And
well, yeah, he'll be honest. He's honest. Yeah. He's honest.
Now, Danny finishes their statement by declaring that Nick's conviction was correct and that his diagnosis shouldn't change the fact that he did indeed commit a crime. Quote, autistic people are just as able to understand such consequences as our neurotypical counterparts, and attempts to suggest that we aren't do nothing more than infantilize us. Now, ultimately, we'll never know exactly where the truth lies with Nick Godejohn and what exactly was going through his mind. All of these points of view serve to highlight the fact that there is a lot of uncertainty when it comes to the nuance of talking about someone who is not only an autistic person, but may also have DID and is in this loving relationship, the IQ. There's a lot of factors. Danny brings up, though, a great point when they say that Nick shouldn't be infantilized as an autistic person and needs to face the consequences.
And I feel like a lot of people are doing that. Stop doing that. Okay, I understand how he got there. I understand how he got to the place where he was standing over Dee Blanchard. But he still physically did that 17 times. Not once, not twice, not even 5. 17 times. He still physically did that. And then went and wanted to have sex afterwards. What does that tell you? Moody Morgan says, I love how they all say they would never do what she did. How the fuck do you know that? You don't know what you would do until you are in a similar situation. Period. Point blank, period. Very good, Moody. You are 100% correct.
Of his actions that can further contribute to stigmatizing autistic individuals. And Christina's point to that punishment for...
Yes, he got off doing it. That's exactly it. He got off doing it, literally. No, I don't want him walking the streets. Absolutely not.
Crime and proper treatment can exist in tandem is an important one to consider as well, in my opinion. So thank you again so much to everyone who provided their thoughts on this to help broaden this perspective. I really do appreciate you all, and even those of you who answered that I couldn't fit into this doc. I will be doing more Q&As like this in the future.
There was a lot of things, criminal activity that she was doing that I grew up in. I watched her do all these things. So for me, it is a conscious effort to, go back in my mind and realize that is the wrong thing to do. This is the right way to do things. I don't think I'm like my mother at all. I try actively not to be.
When it comes to the story of Gypsy Rose, the truth is that everything boils down to a cycle of generational maltreatment passing from one woman to another to another. Now, this idea has been referred to as a cycle of abuse by some experts, but I want to make it clear that it's only tangentially related to the cycle of abuse theory, which relates to romantic relationships and how harm fosters itself within them. In this context, when I'm talking about a cycle of abuse, I'm speaking about it in generational terms, as Elizabeth Hartney did for Very Well Mind, when she examined how, quote, people who were SA'd in childhood childhood may have a higher risk of being in adult relationships where they are harmed physically, emotionally, or sexually. In some cases, people who were victimized may become harmful themselves. So now this is further backed up by a study from 2021, co-written by Jason Armfeld of the South Australian Health and Medical Research Institute, who found that there was, quote, very high risk for familial maltreatment among children whose mothers had been maltreated as children. Specifically, 83% of all specific and substantiated child maltreatment cases involved kids whose moms had a history with CPS when they were kids themselves, meaning that harmful mothers were likely to have been harmed as kids to the point of CPS getting involved. In contrast, kids...
I honestly believe Dee Dee was, I bet you Dee Dee had a fucked up childhood. I bet you Dee Dee had a fucked up childhood. Yeah, generational abuse is real. Yeah, it's very real. Very real.
Kids whose moms didn't have that history only saw a 5% incidence of harm. Even when taking CPS out of the equation, the study found that 30% of children experienced harm from mothers who also experienced harm or neglect from their own mothers by the time they were 12. And this has been a common reoccurrence in academia for years. In 1989, a New York Times article referred to, quote, 1/3 of people who are harmed in childhood becoming harmful themselves. Now, this is a lower percentage than many experts had expected, but obviously poses a major social challenge, right? The research also confirms that harm in childhood increases the likelihood in adulthood of problems ranging from depression and overuse of alcohol to sexual maladjustment and multiple personality. Now, let me be fully clear right now. Just because someone has been a victim does not mean they will become an abuser. The numbers themselves even support that when you see them hovering around 30%, but it has been observed that it is more likely for harm to manifest generationally, a form of trauma, spreading from one parent to a child and beyond. This is a very unfortunate but helpful metric in which to look at the Blanchard family, right? Like, think about it. Dee Dee was likely to have been taught by someone in her upbringing that lying and manipulating and stealing was a means to get what you want. And
I suss out the dad. Dee Dee's father. That is who I suss out. I'm just saying I suss out Grandpa. I just have a feeling it was Grandpa. That's just a feeling. And I'm pretty sure Mama won't too good either, but I really suss out Grandpa. I think it was Grandpa. Because Grandpa had no problem saying that no, I didn't do anything bad. They were touching me inappropriately. They were 4, bro. I think it was Grandpa.
Based on stories from the Petrus family, I think the obvious answer lies in both Emma and Claude Petrus, right? We already know that Claude was allegedly harmful to Gypsy Rose and was possibly likely harmful in some way to Dee Dee. And Emma, well, Emma was known as a liar, manipulator, and a thief who very well may have harmed young Dee Dee. It's no coincidence that Dee Dee was raised by a woman like this, becoming a liar and a thief herself, and also allegedly a first-degreeer herself, with Dee Dee possibly ending her mother, Emma, through starvation. I mean, the parallels just kind of draw themselves here, right? Then Dee Dee allegedly tries to poison her stepmom, then she grows up, harms Gypsy Rose grows up, devises a plan, and assists in ending Dee Dee's life. There is a pattern here, carrying through most of the women. I mean, we even maybe see some signs of Gypsy Rose potentially continuing some semblance of the chain of control when she interacts with her husband, though to be fair, none of us are privy to the day-to-day interactions between them, so just take this, with a grain. But we have seen the following: jabbing him when he speaks to get him to be quiet.
Like, what's the worst that could happen?
Okay, all right, look, the whole jabbing, do you know how many wives do that to their husbands? Everybody hones in on the fact when she pushes his arm for him to shut up. Do you know how many wives do that to their husbands? Like, a lot. I mean, just saying. Yeah, Mad Max, I get a little tap. True, see?
But we have seen the following: jabbing him when he speaks to get him to be quiet.
Like, what's the worst that could happen?
It's hard to do, but you can do it.
Clinging to him and possibly squeezing or tapping his arm whenever she doesn't like that he's speaking on camera or saying something she doesn't want him to say.
Yeah, Gypsy, people are on the watch. Like, people protect her, and which is great.
That's great.
All the way up to telling him to shut up, quite literally on camera during an interview. She didn't think people could hear her.
And now I feel like, oh, I went from 19 to 32. Jeez, God, I got old so quick. How did that happen?
You never went to school either.
And in each of these instances, the moment Gypsy Rose elbows or tells her husband to literally shut up, he immediately goes silent and his head and his eyes drop to the floor in what feels like total shame. I mean, he just looks completely defeated and deflated there. Now, this is...
Okay, bro. He was saying some stupid shit. Shut the fuck up.
just me speculating, of course, but ultimately these behaviors could be, maybe, in line with what we know about Dee Dee's own relationship with Gypsy Rose, particularly how Dee Dee physically handled Gypsy Rose when press cameras were rolling. It was a way for Dee Dee to closely control the narrative, and I think it's safe to say that there are concerns that Gypsy Rose could be falling into similar patterns now with her husband, whether she realizes it or not. I mean, I hope for everyone's sake that the cycle ends here, albeit it ended brutally, but I just hope that Gypsy Rose can move on with her newfound freedom and find the healing that she likely needs. Whew, okay, as always, please excuse the brief tone shift as a bit of a palate cleanser, and then I will conclude with my final thoughts on this. So here are some cute videos of the billing department babies who are all grown and just living their cutest possible lives. They're just the sweetest. Be sure.
They are cute babies. Those are cute babies. Look at them babies. They're so cute.
Here's some cute videos of the billing department babies who are all grown and just living their cutest possible lives. They're just the sweetest. Be sure to grab your pieces from the brand new Petty University Valid collection and the Valid Social Club collection by tapping the link below and in the pinned comment. I love seeing your selfies and reposting you on Instagram whenever I can. I truly believe that you are going to love these pieces as much as I do. Please keep tagging me in your photos on Instagram so that I can share you on my Instagram stories. And also be sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter. We have hit 100,000 followers. That she deserves to rot in a big pool of hot sus, and I agree. And I think she probably, her sentencing is like, that's coming up. Been a couple to rot in a big pool of hot sus, and I agree. And I think she probably, her sentencing is like, that's coming up. Been a couple of days. Yeah. The second shout out goes to Chris Chaos, who says, sorry, did Ruby Frankie's attorney really say that she needed to essentially sit in the corner and think about what she's done in order to understand that CA is bad? Am I understanding that right? You are understanding. Guilty to taking the life of her mother, and many see it as self-defense. The law doesn't really agree, and realistically, there are tens of thousands of survivors of CA and CSA and MSBP who have also endured truly heinous harm who don't take that course of action. Now, every story is different, but that doesn't mean every story is exempt from analysis and comparison from the general public as it's unfolding. That's just kind of human nature, right? Was it Gypsy Rose's only option? No, and she'll tell you that it wasn't. Did she know that she had other options?
It wasn't her only option. But it's probably the only option she felt like she had at the time. I mean, bro, it is what it is. That, you know what? That sums up the Gypsy Rose story for me. It is what it is.
At the time. Her interviews would indicate that she likely knew, but that doesn't mean she was processing that at that time, and no one but Gypsy Rose will ever come close to knowing the answer to that. But were her actions justified? The 10-year sentence would suggest no, they weren't. That's why she was convicted. But it's not such a black and white question for most people. And what about Nick? Was he the mastermind like her husband claims? Gypsy Rose the mastermind? Was there a mastermind at all, or just a perfect storm of two hurt individuals coming from unique and vulnerable backstories colliding together at the wrong place and the wrong time? Was Nick's sentence of life without parole the right one? And what about the public? What about the millions of newfound fans and followers propping Gypsy Rose up as an inspiration and a celebrity? In many ways, Gypsy Rose has no control over the fascination of the public, though of course, yes, she is feeding into it. She is doing red carpets and press tours. But to many, she has every right to make her money and reinvent herself while using her experience, as complex as it is. But Nick, of course, won't get that chance, and to some, and perhaps even—
I don't want him to get that chance. I'm sorry. I don't want him walking around. I think he's dangerous.
To Gypsy Rose, that's what he deserves. Others are more sympathetic to him. But if the public is celebrating Gypsy Rose for fighting for her freedom, does that make Nick her Prince Charming, her literal savior who gave her her freedom? While I don't personally think Gypsy Rose should be so highlighted as an influencer or a celebrity, simply because I don't think it's healthy for her or anyone to just be thrust in the spotlight while still processing something very heavy, I do hope for her and her family's healing. I hope that for Nick and his family as well. That's really all I can do, is hope for that they each get the appropriate help and support that they need, and that true accountability is always taken for each role, no matter what that looks like. But I guess time will tell. Stay ready, stay petty. Class dismissed. Swoop!
Wait, to be continued. Oh God, is she doing another video on this? Oh my God, I hope not. Oh, Swoop, why did y'all let me watch this? I'm blaming this on y'all. I'm completely blaming y'all for this video, for watching this video. I am legitimately blaming you people. Marlikins, you're... Hold on. What was I doing? Oh, blaming Marlikins. Marlikins, this is your fault. Okay? This is your fault. Wait, Xylie, does this mean that you're alt-right because you don't agree? No, Swoop isn't like that. Okay? We're not dealing with Keppels and Tipster. We're dealing with somebody with some common sense. I still like Swoop, okay? And I will still watch her videos and react to her videos and stuff like that. I disagree with her on this. I really do. And I will say this, though. I will say this for her. At least with the points that I disagreed with her, she didn't come off snotty. All right? She didn't come off better than. She didn't come off like, you don't know what you're talking about if you disagree with me. She didn't come off that way. So I'll give her that. Okay? I'll give her that much. Yeah, she was classy about it. Exactly, all right? So it's okay. You know, I'm not like disappointed in her. I just wish that she would have delved more into Godejohn because I think he's just dangerous. Yeah, exactly. Not every video can be a banger. I have loved the stars too fondly, says Xylie, you can't blame us. You're always telling us it's your channel and you decide what you watch, talk about. We have no say. And you know what? Wait, excuse me. Why are you laughing at that? Mind your own damn business. Deal with whatever you're dealing with in the kitchen and don't worry about what my chat is saying to me, sir. Okay? Don't make this turn into being used against me when I have to go to court with beating you up. My husband's over there laughing at this. What? Mind your own damn business. Make your damn lunch and shut up and let me do my job. Anyway, yes. And you know what? This is a Xyliarchy. And guess what? I can blame you if I want to because I can. Okay? Yeah, I'm nudging you right now to shut up. And yet you're still giggling. Oh my God. Bro, you wait till I get off this live stream. You just wait till I get off this live stream. Yeah, good night. Yeah, good night. You're right. Good night. That's the sorry he's being a man nudge. Yeah, he's being a man all right. Anyway, anywho. All right, so I'm going to get out of here. We'll do a Radiant Brit day one day. Because she made a couple of videos and I was going to let y'all vote for them. But now that since y'all made me watch the Swoop one, I'm going to make y'all watch both. So that'll be sometime this week. So, anyway, I'm getting out of here. Y'all have a good night. Behave. Peace out.
Cruising in my lane fast, call it high speed. I've been working hard, yeah, I've been working nightly. If you think you'll win, ha, not fucking likely. I be taking shots, yeah, cold-blooded, icy. Watching numbers grow is what I call sightseeing. In the front row, run it up when they hype me. The following grows, they know how to ignite me. Call me CEO, I've been running shit right, see. And I ain't playing games, I create my own lane, making pleasure out of pain, turning losses into gains, I'm the boss, I'm making change. I've been rocking this exchange, popping off and risking things, gonna make a fucking name. I just wanna be famous, but I don't want that cheap fame. No, I'm not that vain, I just wanna be greatness. 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 Ain't no motherfucker in this world can do it like me. Open up your eyes and insert a little rising. You don't have to love me, you don't have to like me. Got enough love in myself, in my psyche. You should have the same in your brain nightly. If you wanna taste, bitch, you can fucking try me. If you wanna hate, bitch, you know where to find me. And if you're going hate, showing off every chance I get. I don't really take a loss, well, I'll admit. That's why I'll make it to the top, yeah, I commit. And no, I'm never getting lost, I get after it. Investing in my own stock, cause it's faster than any crypto hits go, let me spend. Everything that you see is something I invent. And it's only a percent. I'm gonna take shots. If I miss all, forget it. I'll take a fat loss just to learn all that's in it. I'm taking snapshots, learning how to fall and get it. I'm getting back up, always stand tall, don't sweat it. I never back up, I don't miss a thing or regret it. I'm always learning, you could call me academic. I'm always working, never been apathetic. Bad energy is like a poison, needs some antiseptic. Ain't no